It's the best of Jim Norton and Sam Roberts.
People are in a panic over this Joker movie. They're convinced there's going to be a real Joker after the Joker movie.
Yeah, well, here's what it is. The press is dog whistling to people that if you shoot somebody, we'll cover it.
Yeah, that's
The
true.
fucking press is literally hoping for a shooting just so they have something to talk about.
Yeah.
They're leading up to it. The press is literally building up the shooting. We think there's going to be shooters. We'd hate that, even though we'd give you a 3-page spread. They are the worst.
I was reading this article. The other guy, you remember that shooter that said that he called himself the Joker?
Douchebag, yeah.
He never even called himself that.
He just painted his face that way.
He didn't paint his face that way.
Yeah, he did. James something, whatever his name was.
When he did the shooting?
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
Maybe not during the shoot, but are you sure about that?
Yeah. He just had wacky colored hair. But in one photo, it was orange. Joker didn't even have orange hair.
The old Joker, I think, didn't he?
No, it was always green.
Oh. James Holmes, yeah. I don't know why he got called the Joker. Joker's lab.
I think it was like
because he dyed his hair weirdly.
And it was a misreport. It was one of those things, what I was reading anyway.
Okay.
That it was a misreport early, and people just kind of went with it.
Okay. But yeah, I'm so sick of hearing about the possible violence from a Joker movie. Just shut the fuck up.
I know
another mental patient goes and shoots somebody. It has nothing to do with the dumb movie.
I know. Although I know critics got to see it because the premiere came out. Did anybody become the Joker? Any of the critics become the Joker?
No.
Okay. That's good.
They give good reviews?
For the most part. I think some people don't like... the only negative stuff I read about it is people don't like how bleak it is.
Oh, God.
But, I mean, it's a movie
it's a
about...
fucking movie, you
the
assholes.
Joker, you know? It's a movie about the villain. But it really is weird. Like, nobody became Bane after Bane. Nobody's going to become Cats after Cats. Like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah, exactly. No one can. I'm going to destroy the city, Batman.
Yeah. I mean, none of it's true. It's all nonsense.
It's all fucking nonsense.
But it's great promotion.
It's great for the movie.
It's really good for
Mark.
the movie. Hey. Mark, are you worried about everybody becoming the Joker when the Joker comes out?
He's not allowed at Aurora.
Who isn't?
The movie.
Oh, right, because of the
Are
shooting.
they really not playing the movie in Aurora? Like,
Yeah. Shooting. But
that's just building the movie up more. Banned from Aurora.
Yeah.
Because some fucking asshole.
Right.
By the way, they did play Once Upon a Time in Hollywood where there's a whole bunch of shooting in it.
Plus, can't you get guns in Aurora?
Good point.
Yeah, of course. And there's
that wasn't the problem.
Between then and now, there've been lots of movies with villains and with guns.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But this one's dangerous, guys. This Joker movie, people are not going to be able to tell that they're in a movie theater anymore.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get all the hubbub.
No.
He's what about like Travis Bickle? Did that cause anything?
Of course not.
Yeah, and like
an increase in taxi drivers.
Oh, no, actually it did. John Hinckley. He shot Reagan because he was trying to save Jodie Foster the way Travis Bickle did.
Yeah.
And Bickle wanted to kill the president.
Right.
And that was what Hinckley wanted to do.
I think in
Bad
hindsight,
example.
we're all smart enough to see that Hinckley was probably a very damaged individual. They should have
executed him.
If it hadn't been Taxi Driver, it would have been something else.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you're just waiting for that motivation to come.
Right.
Yes.
So the idea that,
I don't think any of it sways much. It's like the Shane Gillis thing, not to harp back on that, but
What happened with him?
he was good on SNL this week.
Yeah. He was the Asian guy. But he's I don't think that's going to cause people to hate Asians. If anything, it goes the other way. If anything, we go, hey, now we got Asian racism awareness.
Yeah, but I guess that's true, but that's a difficult argument to win because then you're rewarding the guy that you can't reward him. But again, that's why you wouldn't want to go down that road probably.
Right.
Because, it's a mess.
Well, I was talking to a gal and we were going through Asian racial slurs and she didn't know any of them. And she's like, that's a slippery slope. And I'm like, well, that's a slur. And she's like, what are you talking about? So it's kind of fun. I had to let her know about all these slurs that she was using.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to
without knowing.
Without knowing.
But do you want to go out on the record at this point in time and go like, hey, I like to tell people all the racial slurs?
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to know them to not use them,
That's
right?
true. I guess that's true.
It's like the legal age of fucking. You want to know it so you don't do it.
Remember when the reporter said that Jeremy Lin was showing a chink in the armor?
I remember that,
And people were like, "What the fuck did you just say?" And he was like, "What? What? What?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I thought that
It was one of those ones where it's like, all right, we get it. I mean, technically, you are correct.
Yeah,
Come on. We get
context we understand, but I think you're trying to get away with something, aren't you?
Sometimes it's just that childish thing
Yep.
where you want to say, "No, Mom, I said buck. I said buck," because it sounds like fuck. You know, you like to get away with something.
But that's also such a different thing than like full-on violence. Like,
Sure.
I've watched so many violent movies and horror movies and played so many violent video games, and I'm not even slightly desensitized to violence at all.
No.
Wait, what do you mean? Oh, like real violence?
Real violence.
Yeah.
Real
Ultra
violence
violence.
is still, a little bit of the ultra violence.
Aha.
Like, real violence is still like, oh my God, that's horrifying. I don't want that to be anywhere.
Same with real racism. I mean, how many movies have we seen?
Yeah.
It's like that Bill Burr joke where they're like, get out of the pool. Like every sport, we have to see the racist version. I mean, if you saw a guy just yell at a guy and call him the N-word.
So ugly.
Yeah,
Exactly. I take my mirror down.
Yeah, you'd be hard. But, it'd be like, holy shit, this is horrible.
Right. Yeah, it's a different.
Well, it depends on the circumstance.
I
Okay,
guess
sure.
you're right.
All right,
There's a
sure.
Kumia. Yeah, good point.
You're also mentally stable, though.
Yeah, I know, but if you're not mentally stable, you're not
debatable.
mentally stable.
Yeah, no, but that
A
could
man
trigger.
who eats fucking chicken fingers
Thank
on
you,
New Year's
Jim.
Eve and fish sticks is mentally stable.
First of all, I'm not
That's a
going to
good
eat
point.
both of those things.
It's 2 different proteins.
Yeah, why would you eat fish
You eat
sticks
one,
and
sit on the
chicken?
other.
They're not nearly stiff enough.
Frozen.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Little rump oven.
Oh, yeah.
Warm them up.
Sammy's rump oven.
No problem. I'll toast them.
I'm so sick of I'm so sick of the debate over comedy.
I
I'm
am too.
bored with it.
It's dumb.
Here's the bottom line. If you're trying to censor another person's thoughts or speech, you're a cunt. That's it.
Yeah.
Sometimes
That's
it's easy.
it. No matter what side you're on, no matter what your motivation is, if you're censoring another person, you're a fucking cunt.
And look, I get if you get upset, but what bugs me is the comics. The comics lashing out. You're like, come on! I've sat in the green room with you where you've said retard and all these horrible things.
Yeah, I was
And-
following not Big J, Louis J. Gomez's war with Christopher
I
Titus.
saw that.
Were they going back and forth?
Oh,
What
yeah.
were they going back and forth?
Christopher Titus coming out strong against Shane Gillis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's disappointing.
Yeah.
I
And,
like Chris. He's a funny comic too. I'm disappointed.
Lewis hitting back very hard. They were going back and forth. I mean, are they still going back and forth, kind of, or has
Nah,
that died down?
I think it's died down. They both got kids to hug,
Yeah, at some point.
At some point. But yeah, it was shock. It's just like they always the smelt it dealt it. They always find something that you did once, and they go, "Well, that was 8 years ago. I've evolved." Well, maybe this is his 8 years ago. Let him evolve. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you did it, were you full of rage and hate towards that group? No. Well, maybe he isn't either.
And people know that.
Oh.
People just want to be part of it. I'm just so sick of it. I'm sick of hearing about comedy civil war. It's so fucking boring.
It's all jerk fest. Who cares? It shouldn't be this important. We're a bunch of idiots on stage talking about our balls.
It's mostly that most of the people who start these things are these gotcha people who are on the fringes.
Yes.
They're not good enough to be a part of it.
Yes.
So they want to be in it somehow and they want to have some effect on it. And in their way, they're having a positive effect on it because they're weeding. They give themselves the higher motive. It's just garbage. It's garbage. It's not sincere.
Right.
Which is the Rocky with Ivan Drago? 3? That's
Well,
3.
Rocky 1.
I
The
believe-
original Rocky, he
That's not
goes
the
to
ori-
Russia.
Bullwinkle.
That was such a good. Hey, if we don't like
That's
you,
what I'm saying.
you don't like us. It's like, oh, that's such a great.
I think everybody, the comedians,
You don't like that?
the people who censor, the sensitive people, the abrasive people, should all just get together in a room, watch the speech from the end of Rocky 3, and realize that maybe, just maybe, we have more in common than we do different.
Ooh, and
What
I
do you
just
think
want
of
them
that?
to admit that eventually, if we put them in a room and talk about it long enough, they'll go, I really didn't care. I didn't care in the first place. Just let me go on with my life.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
I wanted to get it out in a tweet and then just go on and do something else.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be included in the trending topic.
Right. And I hate the entitlement of like, there's all these comedy critics out there like, I watched the Bill Burr special, and I must say, he made some good points. There was a few things I didn't like, but it's like, who cares? It doesn't matter. It's funny. Shut up.
But you know what? They're not doing anything wrong by saying that. And you know what? It's not even the bloggers who are the problem. And it's not the comedians who are kind of coming out from a position I don't agree with. That's the problem. They're not the ones who fired Shane.
It's the comedians.
It's the lawyers who work for NBC.
Well, it's
the networks, but that's who fires people. Like Sharpton never fired anybody. These bloggers never fired anybody. They have no power to fire you.
Don't you think when you're a blogger and you know now, okay, we now know how lawyers will react. I know how to drum up a mob.
Yes.
I know how lawyers react to a mob. The person that drummed up the mob, knowing how the lawyers would react, does have some of the responsibility.
Disgusting. It's disgusting. Yeah. But if the lawyers didn't react that way, or if people push back fucking hard enough and the lawyers were like, whoa, no, there's more of a penalty to fire him than to not fire him, then those bloggers would lose all power. But since people aren't willing to do that,
to fight back,
it's going to keep happening.
Yeah, I mean, lawyers are lawyers are simply there to look at the bottom line. They're not being human about it. They're just going, what's financially and legally more effective for the company.
Right. So if all of a sudden they realize, wow, if we fire these guys for these stupid PC reasons only, and the backlash is people stop watching us, they wouldn't fire people. Mm-hmm. But everyone complains, how come they keep firing people? Because you guys aren't pushing back hard enough.
But it's also because everybody complaining about SNL don't watch anyway. So it's like, what are you going to keep not watching?
Right. Yeah. I just don't like the idea of like, you said this, so now you're officially a racist person. Like, you don't know me.
Exactly. First of all, I didn't say it. I wrote it anonymously.
Yes, exactly. But like, if you made
the lack of nuance.
Yeah, if you made a kid fucking joke and all of a sudden you're just labeled a pedophile and it's 100% gospel, is that it?
Yeah.
That's all we got?
Yeah.
It's crazy to go from joke to reality in no time in between.
Yeah, the whole comedy war thing is like, oh.
I hate it.
It's so draining, and who gives a fuck?
Go write a joke, cunt.
Mark,
that's the hard part.
Do you feel like you're more of an authority figure now that you are officially comedy's upper echelon? You are in the... I saw you hanging out with the Illuminati of comedy.
Oh, yeah? Jay Leno?
Was he the Illuminati? No, I saw a picture. You were in L.A.
Oh,
you had a nice extended trip. You ended up on Joe Rogan's show. That's the first step into the Illuminati.
I'll take it.
Then, when I realized you were officially in the Illuminati, is when it's just a casual photo of Mark Norman, Jerry Seinfeld, Eddie Murphy. That's
Eddie?
That's Illuminati.
Well, by the way, I appreciate that tie-dye, but the whole thing is it's me taking a photo of the TV screen of comedians in cars getting coffee.
Is it really?
Yeah, and everybody's like, you're hanging out with these legends. I'm like, it's a photo of a TV.
I didn't realize that.
Troy,
pull it up.
Pull it up. I gotta see it. Pull it up, Troy.
My name is in the background. That was the joke. My name is on the marquee, Normand.
Dude, I swear to God, I looked at it a couple times. I'm like, good for Mark. He's doing it.
He
is really doing it out there.
I was so happy. That's my first question. I've never met Eddie. I was like, oh, what's he like?
So you did not hang out with Eddie Murphy?
He's gay in real life. No, it's just a photo with my name in the back, so that's why I put it up as a joke. But everybody bought it.
You didn't even mean for it to look like you were with them.
No,
you didn't
not
realize.
At all. I was like, this is obviously, there it is, the middle. See, my name is on the marquee, so I said, oh, that's funny.
I thought you were taking a photo of him.
No.
Yeah, and it says just...
Joe List was hanging out with them, too.
Yeah,
it says just hanging with some pals in La La Land. I love L.A. You were in L.A. The idea, and these two are clearly in L.A. because they're at the Hollywood Improv.
What's Jerry looking for, a razor? He didn't shave.
Yeah,
I don't like seeing Jerry unshaven.
I don't mind it.
Bothers me.
He's loose.
You're friends with Jerry. Like, there's a lot here.
I thought it was so obvious.
Yeah,
have you hung out
obvious
again?
At all.
Yes, we did. I don't want to get too into it because I feel like I'm blowing my load on his back here.
Now there's an actual relationship building. You can't get into it because then it's like, what is this here?
I feel like I'm banging a supermodel every now and then. I go and talk about it for 20 minutes on every radio show, and she's gonna be like, "All right, stop telling people about my labia."
Right. Jerry doesn't want you talking about his labia everywhere you go.
Yeah, I assume. But I also think he's in a tower and he's getting blown by 6 midgets. So who knows what's happening?
Right. But I get that because he's gonna sit there going like, "Are we hanging out or is this material?"
Right. Yes.
Is this fodder?
Right.
Yeah, Potter we call it in the business.
But no Eddie Murphy.
No Eddie Murphy.
That's a crying shame.
One day.
You'll get there.
I wonder what his stand-up's going to be like. He's coming back and doing, he's obviously for a Netflix special for $70 million, of course, or whatever he's getting. He might be doing a couple, but I'm amazed he's doing it. They talked him into it, and I want to know what his new act is going to be like. He'll probably be working out in L.A. or in the clubs.
Yeah.
He'll do a small tour. He'll probably do the thing that Chappelle does with the phones. But again,
lock him in the bags.
Yeah, there's only so much you can protect from.
I wish venues would just kind of do that.
Oh, it'd be great.
Lock phones in bags.
Well, they will, but it's expensive. Someone told me it's $3 a phone because of the package that comes with it. And that,
and
you do a 4,500 seat, that's $12,000. I mean, that's a lot of money.
You can only use them once.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not
they,
sure.
They rip. It's like it's over.
Oh,
once
I
you
see.
Unseal it, but they should just make it a zippy or something.
That squeeze it open.
Yeah, but I think you lock the end. I don't know.
I know there's got to be a better. This is one step. There'll be a better way to do it.
Well, did you see Murphy apologized for his?
Did he apologize or address it?
I think
I heard him address
When
it.
did Eddie Murphy apologize?
Because they were giving him shit about his
Couple
gay
days.
jokes years ago.
Well, it's clearly a publicist going, look, if you're coming back out there, you better get ahead of this and then do stand up.
Because they're going to say,
I mean-
what about your jokes from 30 years ago?
I know.
To be fair, every conversation that we've had about any
true.
comic, people, whether they're for or against it, will bring up, Eddie Murphy was doing this. Eddie Murphy was
Well,
on
it's 'cause of
SNL. Eddie Murphy
That's
was...
only because of Shane. People start talking about Eddie. Because then people are like, well, look what Eddie did with
People
this.
did it for, anytime you bring up somebody on Netflix, people bring up Eddie Murphy's old specials.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
love bringing up that Eddie Murphy used bad language.
Well, I
So
love
I don't blame
He's
him for getting in
22.
front
First of all,
of
he's
it.
22. Second
Yeah.
of all, who gives a fuck?
Well, the
It was
Twitter
funny.
sphere is like, look, see what a good guy. He can evolve. People can evolve. Shut up, you comics. You're like, well, can I do that? Can I say fag for
No.
16 years
We
and then
didn't-
say it sorry 30 years later? Is that allowed? Is that an option?
We didn't like you before this, so no.
That's a good point.
No.
That's a good point.
That's like Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
Apparently, Justin Trudeau, Canada's prime minister, the evidence that I've looked at has led me to believe that this man spent a period of his life wearing blackface more often than he wasn't.
Yeah.
He was just
Justin Jolson.
constantly in blackface.
Fucking nonstop.
Yeah.
He
Mammy.
can't get out of it.
He's his
No.
hand painted. Like he was committed.
His legs.
Look at
Yeah.
this
There was
photo.
a bulge in his pants. Look at the bulge in his pants.
There's a video.
Wow, that's hot.
He packed a bulge in his pants
Yeah.
for the joke.
Yeah.
And he wore jeans with holes in them so he could
Is
paint
that a
his
wig?
legs black. Yeah,
That's
he's
a
got an
wig,
afro
right?
wig on.
Wow, Soul Man.
He painted his legs black. Who puts blackface on their
You
legs?
know what, though? Soul Man's a good point. That shows you
The changes.
anyone that wants to say that blackface has been evil, and historically it was, but look at Soul Man. That was a good-natured comedy about a guy getting into Harvard.
Black people hated Soul Man.
Doesn't matter. Culturally, it was accepted.
That's
It-
because-
it was accepted culturally. It wasn't a sin in the eyes of people. Didn't go, "Oh my God, you're a racist." For
Black people did.
they didn't think the actor was a racist.
They
might
just didn't
said-
have voices then. I mean, that's the whole point of all this.
I don't believe.
that
they didn't
opinion
have
was
voices
getting
then.
heard because
I don't believe that.
Soul Man has been looked at as horrible for a long time.
I've never heard that, and I don't believe
Interesting.
black people didn't have voices then.
I
I don't believe they didn't have it and the ability
of
to say
course,
they
that's what
didn't
this whole
like
thing
it.
is about. They had the ability, but people weren't listening to it.
I remember when the movie came out. I don't remember anybody having an issue with it.
That's the
Hanging out
point.
with Black folk?
What's that?
Were you around?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, of course.
But the media, I mean, this wasn't kind of in vogue to talk about.
But how
it.
do you know that people were saying it back then? Because I don't remember hearing it back then.
Because in my entire since I found out about Soul Man, what year did Soul Man come out? 86 or something like that.
Yeah.
I've never known it not to have a huge group of people going like, "This was horrible when it came out. It's always been horrible."
But when it came out, it wasn't seen as horrible by the culture. Hollywood, they wouldn't have promoted it that way if there was a problem with it. Because again, they would have, they would just back off from the controversy.
And didn't Gene Wilder do a blackface as well?
With Pryor in
was earlier.
Silver Streak, and I think that was 77.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things. Now they're gonna go back and judge it harshly. But when it came out, it was I don't remember it being seen as racist by people. I don't remember
Soul
the
Man has been
culturally
judged very
being-
harshly for a very long time.
maybe historically, but in the moment it wasn't. I remember because I was 86. I was fucking 18, and
by the way,
60,
just-
70, 88. I was 18 when it came out. Nobody was running around going, "It was just a fucking comedy movie," but this guy's trying to get in. So I can understand how Justin Trudeau at a certain time
It wasn't in the 80s that he was doing
could do
this.
something stupid and go, this is not
He
as
wasn't doing
racist
it in
as
the-
it will be judged, and without racist intentions.
Right.
I can see him
he
doing
was
it without.
progressive, and he wasn't doing it in 86.
Well, that shows you how fake the progressives are when it comes to not recognizing that you can do things and not have racism in your heart.
Here.
That's how fake progressives have become.
I'm not saying he was racist, by the way.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He's probably not.
He knew. Of course, he knew better then what the perception of this is.
He was young.
I don't know about that,
but he was young.
Dude.
He wasn't that. He was an adult. Like, he was a teacher,
in
not a student.
86 and 87 or the 90s or when I first started comedy, I wouldn't have thought blackface was such. I would have known, like, if you do it in such a degrading and horrible way, I would have looked at it like, hey, if you're doing stuff from like the 40s or whatever, it's bad. Or if you're doing it to be degrading. But back then, I would have done something as a goof and wouldn't have thought twice about it.
Same here.
It never happened, but it was like, it wouldn't have scared me to do it back then at all.
But no, I totally get that. But we're not talking about the 80s with
or
Justin
even
Trudeau.
1990, 91. What was the early 90s, right?
I don't even know if it was.
No, it was.
I think it was a lot later than that.
Even if it was later, I still don't think he did.
I think you're talking about the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, I think so.
And you're talking about a guy who's not a comedian. You're talking about a guy who's on the road of being a progressive prime minister of Canada.
But all right, how about Mark in Philadelphia? This is also a valid point.
Uh-oh.
What's going on, Mark?
Hey, what's up, guys? I love you, man.
Hey, buddy.
Mark?
Hey, yo, even more recent, I forget, I'm getting old, I'm getting stupid, but the guy that played Iron Man.
Tropic Thunder, yeah.
Iron Man.
Tropic Thunder, that was more recent, and he was talking black and everything. It's like...
And it was a
I don't know
huge
if that's
controversy.
right.
No, people loved it. People, he was not, wasn't he
They
nominated?
loved it, and he was so funny in it.
Hold on, he was nominated for that.
It was definitely a huge controversy.
Was Robert Downey Jr. nominated?
And he was playing a guy in blackface that shouldn't have been wearing blackface.
Doesn't okay. So
I mean, they completely addressed it.
They
in the film.
addressed it. So what they did was we dolled this up a certain way to make it acceptable so we can do it. Which, again, I'm fine with it. But let's not pretend it's not what it is. It's a guy in blackface. Megyn Kelly is fired. Again, they wanted to get rid of her anyway for asking, well, is it okay if you're tributing somebody? He's nominated.
Oh,
so
yeah, the Megyn Kelly thing is ridiculous.
But do you know what I'm saying?
Ooh, we got a debate.
He was nominated for nominated for
Actor.
Best Supporting Actor.
Wow.
So that's 2009. So let's not pretend that Justin Trudeau couldn't have done it without ill intent. And not when culture doesn't always look at it like that.
No, but he knew it was.
Intent is out now.
But I'm saying, like,
But he knew perception is the point.
but
If
he
you
might
know-
not have. He went to a teacher party. He went to a party as a teacher.
He didn't know. Here's what he didn't know: that it would leave the room.
But even leaving the room, like if you're a teacher and you're going to other teachers, I don't think that you're going to do something that they're all going to see as racist and horrible.
I think.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that he's nailed because I heard he's such a progressive and he's like he doesn't stick up for other people who've had these controversies. So it's like, that's what you get, dummy. But
I think he didn't know it was going to leave the room because he knew that he was in a room of friends and friends would understand his intentions. But he would absolutely know what the perception would be if it left the room. He couldn't have been ignorant to it. It
then
doesn't
why
make
would he
any
let
sense.
people take photos? I mean, that is before Twitter.
Because he didn't know people were taking photos. He thinks it's just going to be like, oh, we're going to put this on the fridge.
But you don't think, first of all, you don't think it's going to be, you don't think you're going to be the prime minister.
You don't.
And you don't think it's going to be a life-changing thing.
Exactly.
Sometimes you think like, oh, I do something. You don't realize that the culture is going to change and 20 years from now, people are going to want to execute you for that. Whereas 8 years after you do it, somebody will be nominated for an Oscar for doing it. So there's no consistency in the reaction to it.
Do you think he knew in the back of his head, like,
Oh my
there
God!
are
Yeah.
so many photos of me.
But that's why guys like this are annoying because he never came out and defended anybody else and said, "Look, I've done stupid things.
Yes.
We've all done stupid
We're
things."
human.
Like, hey, just so you know, before we start throwing stones at him, there's infinity photos of me looking like this.
Right,
And when I
right.
say infinity, I mean countless.
Yeah, and all the progressives talk about is compassion. But where's the compassion for being a young idiot?
There's zero compassion and
That's right.
zero
That's a good point.
forgiveness.
I have a
Zero.
point.
How about Mark in Canada? He's right.
Another Mark?
I love
Yes.
when they go back and look at Twitter and like even they're like look what he said when he was 14. And
Yeah,
they're like
yeah,
14,
like the beer kid.
16
Yeah.
years old.
It's an unforgiving culture. Yes, Mark.
What's going on, Mark?
Yeah, there was a lady that was doing, he was holding a rally in Quebec, and she asked about these illegal immigrants coming across.
Did you laugh the way he said about just
Yeah,
now?
I loved it.
Yeah, it's funny, right?
Sorry, Mark.
That's all right.
So nice.
Whenever she asked about that, he just started yelling that she was a racist, had her removed and whatnot. And now the pictures have come out. He's still pursuing with the having her charged as a racist.
Yeah, that's
and
what.
he's sticking right by it.
That's where your racism has no place here. That's where, in at least for progressive, this is where this fucking phoniness of this. I'm such a progressive thinker, and you forget like the subtlety of like. Of being human, and that gasser is exactly what I needed to shut me up.
Hey.
That was the button on it, wasn't it?
I feel like when I was a kid, it was, hey, nobody's perfect, and now it's, hey, if you're not perfect, we'll find out and ruin you.
And yet none of us are perfect, and we just hope that you don't find out we are.
Yes,
and we will throw you under the bus, and while you're being run over.
If I can distract you with how imperfect you are, you won't have time to look up my stuff.
Right.
But what nobody knows is like the news cycle moves so fast. Of course they're going to look up your stuff.
Yeah, Noam had a great point, the Comedy Cellar owner. He said when the whole Louis thing was getting crazy and he was coming by a lot, they were like, this is crazy. And Noam's like, I hired a ex-rapist who's just got out of prison to be in the kitchen. And everybody's like, wow, what a great guy. You're so open-minded, hiring this guy who did this and that and raped people, and now he's working in the kitchen and no one will hire him, and you did. So compassionate. But then when he gives Louis a spot, they're like, oh, you're evil. This guy was a rapist. And he went to jail, and this guy jerked it.
Yeah, but you know what? He went to jail, and he proved to me, he was sorry.
I guess.
Louis can't just say he's sorry. Through his actions, he needs to prove it to me.
How about this point? This is a Bill Burr original.
Yeah.
It's weird
That's being sarcastic, by the way, clearly. Yes. I hope people picked up on that.
We got it from the sweater. But it's weird that, like, Shane Gillis, they're like, okay, well, you're in trouble, so you can't have SNL, but you can still do stand-up. But with Louis, they're like, okay, you're in trouble, but you can't do stand-up, because that's going well. It's weird they take the thing away that you like the most.
Because there's no consistency.
Right.
It's just an unforgiving punishment. It's punitive, and it's all about getting you and punishing you, and it doesn't matter what you're doing or whatever it is they can get you with and hurt you with. Like Louis, he lost everything and or 35 million, and they're like, okay, and then he's like, fuck it, I'll just do stand up. No, you won't.
Right. Because Louis can go and make millions doing stand up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so you can't do that. But Shane can't make millions right now.
Right.
Yet doing stand-up.
Right.
So, okay, he could do that.
But eventually, if he blows up...
Well, then we'll go back to
they'll
it.
They'll come back to that, yeah.
It's
just fascinating.
It's about punishment. That's all it's about is punishment, and that's where they need to be honest about how much they enjoy punishing.
It would be nice.
It'll never happen. Never happen.
Does anybody know...
You're right, but it would never happen.
No, it's not going to... It's
not.
not.
The definitive. It'll
but
never happen.
That. It won't. Because it feels good. People won't admit it.
But it's such an ugly thing to admit. People will never do it.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Everything's ugly. The whole thing's ugly.
But you never want to admit your culpability in it. You know what I mean? Like especially when you're the good guy.
Yes.
I'm the one who's fighting against you. I'm the good guy. I'm not going to admit I did anything wrong.
That's why it's weird when they call you racist and you go, actually, my girlfriend's black. And they go, damn it.
Doesn't even matter, though, doesn't.
But shouldn't you be happy? I'm not a racist. I'm the worst thing ever in your mind. And then I proved you I'm not. And you go, shit, I had you. You should be going, oh, great. All right, you got a black girl. Okay, good.
Or you reach out to the girlfriend and go, like, really? Are you really accepting of this? Wow. And now the girlfriend is in trouble.
That too.
Yeah.
Alan in Montreal.
Montreal.
Hi, guys.
Hello,
What's up, Alan?
French or English? Pick a side.
Just both. I just wanted to say that we have to remember is like Justin Trudeau is from one of the wealthiest families in Montreal. You know, his father was Prime Minister of Canada. His father was Prime Minister of Canada. He probably grew up in a culture of, affluence, sort of like almost like a frat boy. He probably had no clue what was going on. He was coddled, protected. I guess some people call it affluenza.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard that.
I like
living a very sheltered life.
I like
exactly. So honestly, I think that he took these pictures. He thought like, well, I can do whatever I want. This is like not even, this is never going to surface. Or if it does, no big deal.
We're not thinking
Canada.
Not thinking it was that big a deal. Like thinking it was something that was, it's innocent fun. I know I'm not a racist. People who know me know I'm not a racist.
Boys will be boys.
Yeah.
Because you're living in this thing of we're just living with among each other. You're not afraid of it getting out. You don't see how it will. Imagine if there was a technology in a few years, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, where private chats we've had, all of a sudden technology can go back and grab that energy and pull it back. It's something you never see coming. So let's just say all private conversations you've had in cars through this amazing technology can go back and somehow pull them back like radio waves.
Yikes.
And replay your conversations publicly with a technology that you never saw coming. First of all, none of us would survive, but that's kind of like what Twitter is with your old stuff.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
And I think he was just having, like frat boy fun, and he never thought of the consequences. But by the way, I'm a young, I consider myself a young progressive.
Same.
I never liked Justin Trudeau. And I think a lot of young progressives in Canada, honestly, we don't like Justin Trudeau.
Phony.
We know where he comes from. He just comes from, one of the wealthiest families in Canada.
How is this affecting him in Canada? How is it going for him up there? Is it making it tougher? Because you guys are in the middle of an election, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he's been screwing up a lot. But there was a headline in the paper the other day. It was something like Trudeau's blackface received by Canadians with a big meh. Like, honestly, I don't think we care.
Wow.
Fair, and honestly, you probably shouldn't.
Don't care.
No, he's a kid or a young person.
He did something stupid, even as a teacher. It's like, the guy's not a racist, but that should point out to people.
Hypocrisy is the problem, though.
Absolutely, and that should point out to people that you don't have to be a racist to do dumb things that are perceived as racist.
Yeah, and let's hear from some black folk. What do they think? It's all these whiteys hawking and yakking. Let's hear from the blacks.
Oh, there are no black people in Canada.
That's actually a great point.
Good point.
Thank you very much, Alan.
What about hockey? Excuse me.
You all right, Mark?
Yeah, a little semen.
The fact that you're pretending to cough onto this juice. Old Gullet Norman.
Goes down smooth, doesn't it?
You bet it does. Like a fucking, like an aged wine.
Yeah, they call me Old Velvet Throat. That was Roy Orbison's nickname.
Was it?
Velvet Throat, yeah.
Let's go to Rob in Virginia. What's up, Rob?
Robbie.
Hey, what up, Sam? What up, Mark? Jim?
Hey, buddy.
All day. Yeah. I'm Jim, I think you're wrong, man. This blackface, I'm black.
I knew it.
I mean, it's never been cool. It's never been cool. From my perspective, I have to be sensitive, I think, to certain things. I mean, you've brought it up yourself, with how this country will never get over slavery until, we're like a few generations removed. So at this point in time, I mean, it is what it is.
Then what I would like, Rob, and maybe you're right. First of all, does Canada have the same history with blackface we do here? And with slavery that we do here? So if they don't have the same history with blackface, why is it a problem?
They do have issues with racism, and honestly, they do have a thing with blackface. You should go back and do your research on this.
Well, that's why I'm asking. Well, I obviously don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Hostile.
I'm sorry, Jim. I'm not trying to.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
But I'm just saying, they have history with blackface. I mean, there's North America. I mean, let's be real here.
Okay, then as performers, I can only speak as performers. So should black people be able to do whiteface in films?
You know what? No. I mean, honestly, no, they shouldn't.
Here's why I'm asking.
That's not cool either.
Here's why, even though there's no history of that being race, I understand the total difference. What I would like is for all these little things, somebody put it in fucking writing. And the reason I'm saying that is because people's jobs are being affected. So it shouldn't be this vague, well, if it affects this group, if you're that race, you can say it. If you're this gender, it's okay. Only if he gets mad or they get mad or she gets mad. Everything's like smoke. It's just drifting in and out.
You can put blackface in writing, though. I mean, people know you can't wear blackface.
Okay, so is it you cannot wear blackface? Nobody who's white can wear blackface. No one can wear blackface. No one can wear a face paint that is an opposite race. Put it in motherfucking writing, and everyone will abide by it.
But then you got the Tropic Thunder, and it throws a whole wrench in the gears.
But I'm saying because people's jobs are affected, it should be in writing, because this is not just people being scolded. Guys like Shane were fired from SNL. So there should be some kind of things written, not just vague, well, I guess if it gets bad. Do you understand what I mean?
No, I completely understand. And I agree with you with the Shane Ellis thing. I mean, I get it. But at the same time, I get jokes. Like, I've been listening to you guys since I was fucking 16. I'm 37 now.
Wow.
So, I mean,
scary.
You're the one.
Yeah, I am the one. I mean, honestly, I don't really give that much of a fuck.
Whoa.
But at the same time, it's like,
I hear you.
I mean, I thought that shit was funny, but I also think, there's, everyone's different, and at the end of the day, I mean, sometimes you just got to look at things, in a more binary fashion. I don't know. I mean, I get your point, But I also think that putting shit in writing thing is a little unrealistic.
Why?
Is it going to be a law?
No.
You put it
I don't
in writing. There's no laws. I mean, it's like it doesn't mean anything.
It's a policy.
I don't mean necessarily a law, but like with certain harassment things, it's fairly defined. Like black men and Asian men have the same set of rules at work. You can't walk over and touch a woman inappropriately. Women have the same set of rules. Like, I guess the vagueness is who complains, but there is a certain standard that people say, okay, no one of either gender or race can do this. This is a behavior that won't be tolerated. You can't grab somebody's ass at work if they object, no matter what your race is, no matter what your gender is. You can't do it. So that's what I'm talking about.
Jimmy, I work in HR.
Wow.
I'm a
oh, boy.
manager.
What a narc.
You cannot... listen, I'm not a narc. Nigger. You can't say nigger.
Whoa.
You can't say cheat. You can't say fucking Jew, whatever the fuck.
Right.
You can't say that at work.
Apparently you can.
At any point. You can't say it amongst... I mean, black people can't say that shit amongst themselves. White people can't say that shit amongst themselves. It's just put upon. So, I mean, honestly, it is put in writing at work for the most part. I don't know how it is at Sirius XM. I mean, I know you guys are entertainment, so, I mean, you pretty much say what you want. And honestly, just like, again, I'm a huge fan. I mean, giant fan. I fucking love you guys. Except Sam. Like, Sam, you're a little piece of shit.
I get that.
I appreciate that.
I mean, I fuck with your sneaker game sometimes, but...
I was hoping there was something.
But honestly, no, I'm kidding.
Wow,
But,
Trudeau
I mean,
was
honestly,
29 when he did
I mean,
that.
this HR shit is, I'm telling you, like, at work, you can't do these things.
But Rob,
29 is pretty old if you're doing... Yeah.
Rob, you're probably right. But do you know what I mean? Like, again, it's not just about Shane. It's about we allow certain people to say certain things, and when they get in trouble, it's vague and it's inconsistent. So it's like everybody, like at your job, whatever it is you do, if you're in HR, you know if someone comes to a complaint and they have a recording of someone dropping the N-bomb or saying something horrible or saying cunt at another employee, regardless of gender or race, that person is more than likely going to be fired without question. So there's one set of rules. That's all people ask for, is a consistent set of rules.
That's true. I think the rules are pretty consistent.
But they're not.
Like,
they're completely inconsistent.
Well, the Shane Ellis thing is a problem for me because honestly, you don't know the context of what that guy was saying. Yeah. You didn't hear the whole, I didn't hear the whole podcast. I don't know what the fuck he was saying. Like, I listened to Come Town. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was terrible shit.
Filthy.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, exactly. So it's like, fuck it. I mean, they say terrible. I get the context of jokes. I get it. You know what I mean? But I don't know, like, these random
so funny, the guy working in HR is just listening to Come Town in his downtime.
Well, I think you got to cut it. You got to overcompensate.
Yeah.
I have an office. I listen to Come Town in my office.
I love it.
I mean, it is what it is. So, I mean, I'm not one of these, rah-rah black dudes.
Sure.
I'm super liberal. I'm liberal as fuck. At the same time, I want people to say what they want to say. I mean, I like this era because, I can see racism, like, it's completely on their sleeves at the time.
Right.
But it's like, I don't know. I mean, I think for like random people, for politicians, like niggas like that, they can't be doing
I hear
that.
you.
I don't give a fuck who it is.
I'm with you on that.
Thank you, Rob.
I'm with you.
I don't give it. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Rob.
Aside from Jim, he's got good taste in comedy.
Richard in Miami. It always, I feel so bad for this guy because it always goes back to him. But what's going on, Richard?
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
No, I was just bringing up the whole Ted Danson.
It always goes back to Ted Danson.
That was when, when blackface. That was the first time there was a public outcry about it. Was this?
And that was like blackface. That was like white, big lips, and the whole thing. Now this
Do you think he's embarrassed by that photo?
This was what, 92?
Because that was minstrel blackface.
Yes. Minstrel show. White
that was
gloves,
white
blackface.
lips. And they were trying to make a point about it. Like, they weren't even being...
It was when he was dating Whoopi.
What is this? Yes.
Is it a Friars Club roast, I believe? Is 92, is that the correct year?
It says 93.
93, okay. And Ted Danson did show up and use the N-word.
More than a dozen times.
Many, many times.
But again, Ted's not a racist.
No, he just had poor judgment.
He did something dumb.
Poor
judgment.
happened.
And in the moment, he didn't think it would be that dumb because Whoopi co-signed it and he agreed to do it. And they're both in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So neither of them realized it was dumb until they did it. It's dumb in hindsight, but when they did it, they didn't think it was dumb or they wouldn't have done it.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
We're human. We make mistakes.
Thank you, Richard.
And I think it helps if you got a black person next to you. Like, look at
Didn't help Ted.
Tropic. Well, that's true. But Tropic Thunder, he's talking. There's a black co-star, and that helps.
Yeah, and I think pointing out, like we said, pointing out what you're doing, like having characters in the movie go, you can't do this. You shouldn't be doing this. Yeah.
If you're aware it's ridiculous, it makes it less harsh.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got the 40 too, and fried chicken.
I mean,
wow.
Is this Howard? No.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Howard. Okay.
It's an old bit.
I don't know why you bring that up.
Who cares? It's an old bit. It's like a bit making fun of something that happened.
Yeah. Yikes. How'd we get on blackface?
What's that?
The
How'd
Trudeau.
we get onto this? Oh, Trudeau.
Trudeau has made it so that we all have to talk about it again.
Yeah.
All those progressive politicians.
I forgot all about Ted Danson. Remember we asked Whoopi about that on the radio and she hung up on us.
Yes. You know what's a great Ted Danson story? When we were at the after party for the premiere of The Irishman, a man walked by and Jim went, "Oh, that's Ted Danson." And he started walking towards him. Yeah. And I said to myself, internally, that man doesn't even look like Ted Danson.
From the side he did. He walked by quickly.
I really hope that Jim tries to get a photo. And unfortunately, Jim did realize, like, he came back and he was like, "Oh, that wasn't."
I wasn't going to get a photo.
Ted Danson.
I worked with him, so I was going to say hello. Like, I don't know if I think he'd remember the scene we did.
It would have been awesome if you were like, "Ted." I thought you were someone else.
Sorry.
Sorry.
And Chris in New Jersey.
What's up? Chris. Hang on. Sorry, bud. Hey, bud.
Good morning. Hey, a couple of things that are bothering me. First, I don't appreciate the false advertising for Trudeau putting a bulge in his pants. I'd be really upset.
Yeah, I'm sure his wife is too. God damn it, that's the video that got me. That was his dating profile video.
Second thing is, all this blackface. Like, my thing is, like, with this blackface, any face, like, we got a president doing orange face. Like, as long as somebody doesn't do harm... As long as somebody doesn't do harm to you, they don't put their hands on you. Like, who cares? Like, look at Chappelle. He's very known for doing his white impressions, doing a white face.
Yep.
Eddie Murphy doing Coming to America, doing white face as a Jewish person.
Yeah.
And it's like nobody talks about that. Who cares? As long as nobody hurts anybody, do what the fuck you want. Like, Jesus fucking Christ.
You're shouting,
this country is becoming the biggest bitch in the world.
Chris, this
like,
is
everybody's like,
okay, thank you, Chris. You're shouting. It's
yeah,
so loud.
But he's
have a good day. Bye.
He's right.
Chris is right.
It's very
but here's where you want it put in writing. I have no problem with Chappelle doing those. He's funny.
Who's going to write
Eddie Murphy or anybody. Every company who can possibly fire you. How about it's in their things? How about they have the fucking ball? I said this to Tom Chiasano in 2008 in a fucking in a meeting with CBS, the head lawyers, and whoever it was that took over CBS Radio at the time. I was with Opie, Anthony, and myself, and we were talking about joking and slurs and accents. And again, they said you cannot do Asian accents. That was the big thing at the time. Asian accents. Can't do them. They'll dump out of them. And I said, what about, and I named a comedian, we were playing ads for his show in which he did an Asian accent.
Oh.
And he's got a partial Asian heritage.
Okay.
And Tom said, and I'll never forget this, he goes, yeah, but he's part Asian. I'm like, well, so what? He goes, yeah, but it's like, he goes, I'm Irish. My Irish brothers can say things to me that other people can't. It's like brothers fight, whatever he said. And I go, fine. Would you put that in writing? Because what happens is if we do it wrong, we're fired and it's not in writing. And it's not unreasonable to want that shit in writing. I mean, if you're going to fucking fire me, like you're going to tell me how much money I'm making, what time I have to be here. If that's a fireable offense, then have the fucking balls to write. If you're black, you can do whiteface. We're okay with that. We're not okay if you're white and do blackface. Like, get some fucking lawyer to put that in writing.
Couldn't he just say, hey, Jim, you can't do an Asian accent? And then when you go, yeah, but he can, then he could just say, yeah, I said you can't.
Then put it in writing.
You can't do it.
Put it in writing. That's what the problem is, the lack of honesty behind it. Everyone's just kind of hiding and going, well, no, it's offensive. What about this? Yeah, but that, write it down. How fucking hard is that? If you believe in it and you think it's right, put it in writing. I mean, that's not crazy to say that. Carlin's 7 dirty words. No one can say them.
FCC.
No one can say them.
Right.
No one white, no one black, male, female. No one can say shit, piss, fuck, cunt,
yeah,
cunt.
you're right.
No one.
It's a good point.
We all got it. The rules were there. Every person, the N-word's terrible. Fine. Make it a crime. No one can use it. This one can. He's an artist. You're not enough of an artist. Your art allows it. This art doesn't allow it.
You're half Filipino.
Exactly. It's okay or it's not okay. That's it.
There you go. Well,
if you want 2 sets of rules, say it. Say I want 2 sets of rules.
Asians are having a moment, and I think that plays into it. People disregard that, but like the Gillis thing came out, it's almost like Louis. Louis jerked off 12 years ago, but now it's the Me Too hashtag, so they're going to come back with all of it. Same with the Asians. Gillis said an Asian slur the same day, or it got pulled up the same day. There's an Asian hired finally for SNL.
Yep.
Crazy Rich Asians is number 1. Andrew Yang's running for the presidency. Ali Wong, Aquafina. The list goes on.
So you're saying if you're going to be racist, timing counts?
Yes.
I see. I see. It's a good lesson to learn. The reason you were out so late the night before was the same reason you had to cancel the original Friday Toronto gig.
True. I had a date.
Yeah, the boys had a night on the town.
So that's true.
Was it disappointing when you realized the event that you were going to and I was the date?
No, because... Well, somebody gonna ask? I mean, am I gonna ask somebody like that I fucking don't know that well? Like
right.
I'm comfortable with. I know.
That's true. If it's a girl that you don't know that well, she could ruin it.
I didn't want it to be like a date. Like I'm sure I could have got someone to go with me on a date, but it's like I bring a friend. Like why not bring? I figured you'd want to go. We could talk about it. I would have fun with you.
Yeah.
I know you well enough to know how you are in those situations. Like I knew it would be a good move. Like I just think you're my friend. It'd be fun
right.
to go with somebody who I could hang with and be awkward with.
Right. Yes. Because I think the same thing. When you and I go to those things together, I also feel like, okay, at least I know that I'm not going to be sitting here awkward and have the person that I'm with trying to be like, oh, I'm the life of the party guy. And I'm like, I got to go. I got to leave. I want to go. I want to go home.
And if something goes awry or there's a shit moment, at least I know that it will be talked about on the air and it will be something funny, man. Like you in those moments, you always know, like no matter what happens, we're going to talk about it. So if it's great. If something goes wrong, we'll talk about it anyway.
We'll enjoy it later.
Yeah.
So we did.
As much as I'm able to strangle somebody in the moment.
Jim, he was nice enough. So he called me on Wednesday, I think it was.
Was it?
It was either, I think it was Wednesday night.
Was it Thursday?
No, because we mentioned it on the air.
That's right.
So it must have been Wednesday night. I got a FaceTime from Jim. And I thought that you were just being obnoxious and saying like, oh, I just got this. Because he did his thing where he goes, I just got this annoying email from Bob's assistant wanting to know if I want to go to the premiere. And I'm like, oh, did you just call me at night on a weeknight and FaceTime me to just brag?
Well, she also said, like, I know you've been trying to go to the Irishman premiere. It was so hard to get tickets for.
Yeah.
And then she goes, and Bob has extra tickets and would like to extend an invitation. It was very nice.
Very nice. But then Jim asked if I wanted to come with him, and I said, oh. So it's a little, he's doing a little bit of bragging, but then I get to be in the bragging with him. I was like, this is amazing. So of course I said yes. And it was here in New York. The Irishman is the big, Netflix Scorsese movie with Pesci, De Niro, Keitel, Pacino.
And then so many other great
people
around, like literally right around.
Yeah. It's amazing. So, so Jim invited me, and I was like, of course. It was on Friday here in New York. And we got there, and everything was cool. We went and picked up the tickets. We got there early just to make sure that everything was right, and that's the way I would have wanted to do it too. But we went to pick up tickets, and who's the first celebrity we see? But Dennis Falcone.
Dennis was the first celebrity we saw.
And I said to Jim, can you imagine if you hadn't gotten into the premiere? Because up to 2 days before, you were like, I don't think it's going to happen. 36 hours. But can you imagine if you hadn't gone and then you found out that Dennis Falcone did get to go?
It would have been poetic justice. But he was with his daughter, who's very attractive, by the way, very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The Falcone genes, whatever didn't work for Dennis, certainly he passed on the great parts.
It's
she's
true.
Really, really pretty.
Beautiful children. And his daughter works in entertainment. I don't think.
Yeah. She works for entertainment, so she hooked Dennis up.
Yeah, so he went with her, and we were like, oh, okay. But so we picked up the tickets, and it was very exciting because the tickets, what did it say on the envelope?
Well, I got to the first area I went to was wrong. I realized that I was in the wrong line.
Do you have my tickets?
And they're like, no, you have to go to that one. And it was opened at 7.
Mm-hmm.
So it said the tickets.
It wasn't, which by the way, wasn't the most celebrity move in the world to just be standing there waiting for our tickets.
No, but I wanted to.
But who cares?
I wanted to just get them in case there was a problem.
Yes,
I didn't know for a fact unless my name was there. Because we found out so last minute. I wanted to make sure that my name was on them.
I 100% agree with you. I think it was the right move.
And not realizing the whole red carpet was already happening. Like I didn't realize that was happening.
Yeah,
probably started at 6.
Weird. They didn't let you know.
Must have been an oversight.
Must have been an oversight.
But I wound up getting. The tickets were there. There was 2 tickets in the after party passes, which were nice.
What did the envelope say?
Let me see. I took a picture of it.
Yeah, you did. I saved the envelope.
I did. Yeah, I saved it.
It was cool.
I had to. Let's see here. It said Jim Norton, De Niro guest, 2 tickets.
De Niro.
So
guest. That's pretty slick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were our tickets, and you finally came over, and you met me, and
yeah, we got the tickets.
Then I realized the red carpet was happening, and I'm like, do I walk the car? I didn't realize that the cast was on it yet. Like I didn't know it was that big. So all of a sudden, this guy comes over.
Well, Jim didn't know if he was going to walk the red carpet or not, if he was even going to go over to it.
Right.
And I said, "Look, Jim, either you get to walk the red carpet, and that's awesome." Or I get to watch you get turned down from walking the red carpet, and that's also awesome. So I don't see where we fail here. Let's go try to get you on the red carpet.
100% right. I listened to you.
Yes.
And we saw a guy came over. He was turned out he worked for security for one of the organizations. He goes, "Hey man, if you need anything, let me know."
Because he's a fan of the show.
Fan of the show. Was a very cool guy, and he came over. And he actually did help a lot. He took us to the beginning of the red carpet line.
Yeah.
What's the matter, Troy? I'm trying to talk to you.
Farted.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Okay, I'm looking at the evidence in the room, and the whole time you were telling the story, you kept peeking back at Troy, and I thought you were asking him to look up something.
I like to ask Troy to be a part of the conversation.
But then I realized I think it was the gas that you were waiting to see if he would react to the gas.
Froyo.
Oh, is that what happened?
Sorry.
Does sometimes
my fat girl treat.
Does your stomach react poorly to froyo sometimes?
Well, for me, it reacts perfectly. So I went to the beginning of the line.
The Netflix security guy pushed us up to go like, okay, here's how you get on the red carpet.
He goes, I'll bring you to the front. He goes, I'll bring you to them, but now you're on your own. So I said, okay. Now, I don't think I was on any kind of list to walk the carpet. But
no, I can assure you were not on any kind of list to walk the carpet.
And the cameras are going crazy.
Yes.
So, this actually worked out to my advantage. Because I walk up and I'm talking and I see Dominic Lombardozzi there, who played Fat Tony Salerno.
You might know him from
he was
The
hurt
Wire.
from The Wire. Yeah. He's fucking unbelievable. He was in Boardwalk Empire. Dominic is good in every single thing he does.
A little of the froyo after effects are drifting over in my direction.
Excellent.
Not the most pleasant of aromas. It's quite bad.
All right. Well, you guys are just making me feel better and better.
Okay.
and Sebastian Maniscalco was there waiting. And there's a frenzy at the beginning of the line. She's like, okay, the cast only. So I'm talking to Dominic, and he puts his arm around me. We're all saying hello. So they walk through for this giant cast photo. And again, I don't want to be a dick, but I sneak back behind them, and I'm kind of on the outskirts. I'm not going to barrel in, but there's one point where I don't know, there was a man and a woman in front of me, and the cameras are going ballistic. So there are photos of me, not in that main photo of the 5, Scorsese, Pacino, De Niro, Pesci, Keitel, but there are angles, and I'm sure videos of me. Mm-hmm. With my face smiling between a male and a female. I don't know who they were, like on the outside of it. So I am in one of the giant cast photos.
Right.
But I wanted to just be up there. And then all of a sudden they started splitting up and going their different directions and doing their interviews. So I said a very brief hello to Pesci, just quickly hello.
Was he happy about that?
He didn't mind. He said hi. He goes, oh, you did a good job,
Oh, great. Oh, yeah, I forgot. You guys kind of talked a little bit in the scene that you shot.
Yeah. No, he was there. He was, afterwards we said hello. I said hi to him very briefly because, again, in that moment, the crush is coming.
Yeah.
Where they're all being pulled away for their individual interviews and they're getting, because Pesci is very, I think just wants to get the fuck out of there.
It looked like Pesci was beeline behind. Once the group shot was taken, it looked like he was beelining and getting out of there.
I walked right by Pacino. It's crazy. Like, I met him once here, so I didn't take photos when I'm in that place. I'm like, not there.
Wouldn't it have been funny if you're on the red carpet with these guys and you're asking to get a photo with them when you're both still on the red carpet? And they're like, we're trying to do a thing, because they couldn't say no. That's the one time they couldn't say no.
They won't say no.
Because all the press is right there staring at you.
But I wouldn't do it. Like, I wouldn't make an ass out of myself. Even me.
Right.
I wouldn't make an ass out of myself. I wouldn't embarrass Netflix like that or myself on a red carpet. You just can't. Like, there's certain places, even me, I know to go, like, don't be a fucking dope here.
You've also matured in the last, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I also have photos with all of them except for Keitel. Yeah. So I wouldn't have, but it was hard not to ask him. So I walked right by Pacino. I just said hello briefly to Scorsese, walking through again.
Hi, Marty.
I did. I said hello, and he was talking to Keitel, and it's one of the hardest things I've ever done was not grab a photo with Keitel. And then I just kind of walked to the end of the red carpet. And there's video, by the way. Somebody I saw on somebody, one of the producers has a video on his Instagram feed, and somebody sent it to me of me leaning in and saying hello to Scorsese, and Keitel is there. So if I screen grab that, there is a photo of me saying hello to the two of them.
Well, there you go.
So I got it. And then that's where I saw Jeff Garland at the end, and we talked for a minute. And Jeff looks great. He lost weight. I was so happy to see him. And then I said a brief hello to De Niro as he walked by, but they're kind of whisking him by.
I mean, the frenzy of the red carpet is so crazy.
Which I kind of understand. I just, again, you hang back and you say a quick hello when somebody's walking by. You don't hold them up. You don't try to have a big moment. You just, if you can say hi, you say hi. If you don't, you don't.
And then it was interesting. And I walked around the red carpet and got to the other side of it so I could meet Jim there. And then it was interesting because right after the red carpet, there's a door to go in. And all the big celebrities that were on the red carpet, they enter in through one side of the theater just so they can go off the red carpet right into the theater. They don't have to worry about any of the riffraff, you know?
They're down to some the lounge area.
Right. And so we get off the red carpet and we get right to that door and we present our tickets going like, all right, we'll just go right ahead in.
Yeah, let's go to the lounge.
And they go like this. Actually, your entrance is on the other side. You know, that would be the side where, like, let's say if you were lucky enough to purchase a ticket through the film festival, you would also be able to get in through the same entrance that we were invited to attend.
Well, here's my fact, I did the bathroom. I saw the bathroom sign. There was bathrooms down there. And she goes, well, that's the lounge. This woman she was wearing a suit with sneakers.
A pantsuit.
Uh-huh. And she told me that the bathroom is around the corner, which is where everybody else was going. And then she informed me that the lounge was down there. And she goes, let me see if you're on the list. Let me see if you're on the list.
Wait, she goes, Jim was like, oh, well, can I go into the lounge? And she goes, well, are you on the list? And you know what Jim said?
What?
He goes like this. Well, I mean, I should be. I'm in the movie.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
But you know what I was thinking inside?
What were you thinking?
I absolutely am not on
the list. So he goes, I should be. I'm in the movie. And I sat there with bated breath as she checked her list. She checked it twice, like Santa Claus. She went through the J's. She went through the N's. No Jim Norton.
No, she checked it twice and then put some coal in my stocking.
That's right.
And sent me around the corner to go piss like with everybody else.
And Jim said, well, I could call the person who I got my tickets through. And she goes, yeah, that's fine. I'm going by the list.
She goes, yeah, the list is really specific.
Yeah. And
she
Jim
said,
huh.
Okay.
Okay. And so he went around to the peasant's bathroom to pee.
Yep.
And then he found the person that got him his tickets.
I did find the person who got me my tickets, and she's a very connected person. And I was like, I don't know, because I didn't know that the purple ticket I had showed is one that everybody in the premiere had for the after party.
Right. He goes like, well, I have the purple ticket. And
so
like,
I look like a rube.
Yeah, this is the after party ticket that everybody's invited to the after party who went to the premiere. So as Jim is sitting there waiting for the person, his connect, to show up, he goes right back to the entrance. We go right back to the entrance of the lounge area. And of course, the lady remembers us from just a couple minutes before when she informed us we were not on the list.
And then she said, we need to keep this area clear.
She asked Jim to stand
back a little.
Yeah, like 2 yards.
And I wasn't even taught. Nothing makes me hate a person's guts more than when they say, we need to keep this area clear.
She basically just asked Jim to stand 2 yards away from her.
Yeah, but I wasn't talking to her or bothering her.
Nothing.
I was just texting somebody.
And there was plenty of room, by the way. It wasn't
Plenty of
hovering.
room. Yeah. She was not in the best shape physically.
But she's
a bit heavy.
He was pissed.
But so the woman came over who helped me out with my tickets, and she said, she goes, all right, let me talk to so-and-so, and she'll get you anywhere you need to go. Because the woman she was with, or the person she was with, she wasn't with at the moment.
Yeah.
Because it was run by the film festival.
And I was like enjoying it because at that moment I was like, well, he's not getting in the lounge tonight.
Probably not. And then she was like, I don't know where she is. She goes, maybe they're just waiting for people to take their seats. Like, I think that she had other stuff to do and didn't want to stand there waiting.
Right.
And at that moment I realized, like, I don't want to be a pain in the ass.
Right.
And go, oh, I'll wait for her. So I was like, all right, no, this one you lose. To myself, I said, this one I lose.
Right.
It's
So
fine.
No admittance into the lounge with the rest of the cast.
I didn't care that much other than the fact that woman had to see the whole thing go down. The woman in the pantsuit. She won decisively.
Yeah.
And I knew I fucked up because if I had just walked in, like, with somebody else, like if I had just walked in, like, with Sebastian or somebody just talking, it would have been, oh, yeah, go to, like, I knew that. And
Right.
I knew I made a critical
But you were
error.
there with me.
Yeah, but if you were with me, it would have been okay.
No, but I'm saying, like, it was just us. Like, it wasn't like you were with Sebastian. Instead, it was just me and you together.
Oh, yeah.
We both needed somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. I had as much shot as you did.
Right. We were not the proper combination.
In any way, shape, or form.
Unfortunately, you did shoot for the movie, so it's unfortunate that we both had the same odds of getting into the movie.
Yeah, there's something humiliating. So what happens? We go back. I'm like, all right, you know what? Let's just go into the theater again. You. It's not a big deal. I'm here.
Right.
I'm happy I got in. I don't want to break this. This woman has been so nice helping me with tickets. I'm not going to break her balls.
You did the right thing.
I asked her, and it would have been a thing. It's like, no big deal. I'll just go to the theater.
And what was nice is, I'm sitting there with somebody who actually shot for this movie. And we sit down in the theater, and it was a really great experience because we were among the very first people to sit in the theater.
Absolutely, very first.
You always know at a Hollywood premiere you're a somebody when you sit down and lots of seats still available.
Oh, yeah, it was really great.
Very nice and early.
Yeah, we watched the ushers put their jackets on and put their stuff in the lockers.
They were actually still sweeping up the popcorn from the previous screening. Yes. Lots of time to sit and meet your seatmates. Although when we got there, we had no seatmates because we were so early.
And we were only 3 seats from the aisle, which was actually perfect because I pissed so much. I'm like, thank God we're close to the aisle. And we just sat there and talked for a while.
Yeah.
And then as time wore on, people started to come in a little bit more.
Yes.
And a guy came in and sat next to me, who I knew, and I knew that and with his wife, Guy Lewis, who I like a lot, and he writes a lot for De Niro. Like he's written a lot of De Niro stuff. He probably wrote most of those great roast jokes.
Yeah,
very funny writer. So I knew that we were in the right area because he's really close to him.
Yep,
and he wasn't backstage either.
No, he wasn't. But he wasn't. The cast was backstage.
That's a good point.
That's actually the connection that brought you there was you were supposed to be part of the cast.
Yeah, but there's levels in the cast. It was funny. I was walking in the bathroom and this guy walked out. I'm like, who the fuck is that? It was driving me crazy, and I knew his face. And I realized later it was Beansy from The Sopranos, who got run over by Richie Aprile. I was so mad that I didn't recognize him. You see a face, like I know that guy.
Totally.
And I was very annoyed. So the theater started to slowly fill up, and then like we saw right in front of us, Spike Lee came in and sat directly in front of Sam with his wife.
Yeah, I kicked his chair once.
Sorry, he didn't seem to notice.
He did not.
But when I saw him right in front of us, I didn't feel as bad.
No, it was great. Yeah, Mike Myers.
Mike Myers was 3 seats down from him, only in the row right in front of us. There was a lot of celebrities there.
Dude, so many celebrities that aren't even in the movie. It's Spike Lee, Mike Myers. I saw on the way out, you went to the bathroom and Heather Graham was.
I didn't see her.
Walking there. Maggie Gyllenhaal was there.
Didn't see her.
Emily Ratajkowski from the Blurred Lines video. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, also not in the movie. But I figured that's what drove me crazy. It's like, if I'm not going to be there, but models. But I guess she's a famous.
Yeah,
she's a big one.
I mean, people want to be. So what happened was before the screening, the cast came out on stage. Jim wasn't. Jim. He remained in his seat.
I did, like a good boy.
Yes. The cast came out on stage. It was like Scorsese came out and spoke, and he introduced the cast, which was like, obviously Pesci and De Niro and Pacino and Keitel and Bobby Cannavale.
Oh, Bobby Cannavale was there. That's right.
Ray Romano.
Romano was fucking great.
Anna Paquin, Sebastian Maniscalco. Yep. I mean, the stage just fills up with people, and it's so funny because, like, I wanted Jim to have embarrassing moments, but there are people who want to be close to those people so badly. Like, even at the after party, there's like certain level of cast members that you saw people who have big parts in the movie just trying to push through a crowd to get a little time with like Martin Scorsese or somebody like that. It's just the way the business works. But there were grown men, like senior citizen grown men that have been in the business forever, that actually walked out of the audience, walked down stage, and crawled up on stage. Like, had to put their leg up and crawl up.
I think that was Beansy.
On the stage. Because they wanted to be on the stage with the rest of the cast, because they're in the movie.
And he has a decent part, too, and he's great.
Yeah.
I forget his real name. I hate to refer to him as Beansy, but that was the guy.
But he goes, it's like
they knew each other, though. You could see Scorsese was fine seeing him.
Definitely. It wasn't like a security breach.
No.
It was just like this feeling of, fuck it. There's no pride here. I want to go stand on a stage
with these guys
because I was in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it looked like the cast that was brought out on stage was the cast that was invited to the lounge.
Yeah, it looked like they filed right out.
Yeah, which is why, unfortunately, Jim would be watching from his seat.
But I didn't.
Somebody did, by the way. I posted a photo on my Instagram story of the entire cast on stage and everything, and somebody left a comment on it that said, "I'm guessing Jim was in the restroom."
I didn't feel as bad though. Like when you see, like when I saw who was on the stage,
right?
Every one of them had a legit part in the film. Like
Artie Bucco's wife from The Sopranos
was fucking amazing.
Amazing.
But everyone there had a great part in the like. None of them were like small players in the film. And I knew what I shot, and I knew what they did. It's like, of course they. It didn't feel like I wasn't feeling slighted. I was happy to be there. I was fucking thrilled that I got invited, and I'm like I just want to know if I'm in the fucking movie,
right? Because we don't know at that point. We're watching.
Well, I had a feeling. I had an inkling.
You were feeling optimistic.
Well, yeah. I mean, I saw Ray Romano the night before. We talked.
Yeah, Ray has a big part in the thing.
He's in the trailer.
Yeah,
and he's really. By the way, Jesse Plemons. What else has he done? He played Chuck O'Brien. He was
in Breaking Bad. That was a big deal for him.
Who did he play in Breaking Bad?
He was the white supremacist's son.
Oh, that's
oh my God, he was so good on Fargo, the second season of Fargo.
That's right. Yep, I knew him. We said hello.
He's such a good actor.
He was great. But anyway, we're at the premiere, and then Scorsese.
You know
talks,
what his nickname is, right?
What?
Fat Damon.
Is it? That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. And Scorsese talks for a few minutes, and De Niro talks for a couple of minutes, and the guy Ted, who runs the whole film festival, Ted's Film Festival Emporium. They spoke for a few minutes, and then they all walk off the stage, and the film starts.
And I'll tell you, man, it is 3.5 hours. It's not
3:29. Long.
It's a long one, but at no point was I sitting there going, "When is this thing going to end?" This movie is so good. Acting wise, I thought Pacino stole it, and that's not to say anyone else did poorly, but
sure,
it's the old Pacino. But it's the best thing Pacino's done in years. It's the best thing De Niro's done in years.
Pesci hasn't done anything in years, and it was weird because it's not like Goodfellas 2 or Casino 2.
Not at all.
Pesci plays it different. He plays Buffalino. Was it Russell Buffalino?
Russell Buffalino.
And he's a famous mobster, I think, from Philly. And he was soft-spoken. He was a little different than he normally is.
He's not violent. He's not angry.
Not violent. And he was so fucking good. Everyone was so good in this.
Everybody's great. But I was sitting there and I was thinking about it all weekend. And I think it's the best acting Joe Pesci's ever done. I think it's the best thing he's ever done.
I think so too. Because
and I love everything he's done.
Everything he's done has been great. But this was different. And it's an older Pesci. And it goes through this guy, Frank Sheeran's life. And again, I read most of the book. I didn't read the whole book, but the way he met Buffalino, fixing his car, all this stuff. And they use the age regression, and you're very aware that they're going to use it because people have talked about it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I think the first shot of De Niro is he's driving. I think he was driving or doing something, and he looks younger. And it's not perfect where he looks like he's 18, but you look at he looks like a younger man. And I'm like, they did a fucking great, because you're on a giant screen looking at this.
Yes.
I mean, it's almost like an IMAX screen.
Every detail.
Every fucking detail, and it looks amazing. I'm like, this is not taking me out of the film.
Not at all.
I understand the only thing that took me out of it was I knew what they did. Like knowing that they used age regression, but looking at it visually, it felt like this was shot, this is what the guy looks like when they shot it.
I thought the only hiccup in the age regression thing was that, like, we know so well what Joe Pesci and what Robert De Niro and what these guys look like as young men. Like, they don't look like themselves as younger men.
They look like younger men, but it doesn't look like Taxi. Right.
Right. They look like the older version of them younger. So they're still like, a little heavier, move a little different, just have different kind of body types than they did when they were young. But I kind of lost track of that within 10 minutes.
Within 10 minutes, and if it was guys that I didn't know, like if I didn't know what De Niro looked like when he was 22 or whatever doing Taxi Driver, you never would have known, because the technology is incredible. Mm-hmm. So if it looked that good on a screen, it's going to look perfect on, because to me it did look, I couldn't see, I kept looking for weird movements or whatever.
Or like a mouth on the wrong side or something.
Nothing. Yeah. I didn't see, and again, they spent $160 million on the film, and that's probably where fucking 50% of it went to, was the technology. So they walked through De Niro and Pesci meeting. It moved slowly, but not in a bad way. It was like it unfolded the way the book did, like where this is how these guys met. This is what his life was. It was like they gave a complete picture of his life.
Yes,
and they were just acting. It sounds corny to say him and Pesci were just acting, but you were watching these two amazing actors go through this part of this guy's life. Mm-hmm. Where him and before anything crazy happened, this the way their relationship built, and then they were flashing to the present where the two wives were fucking getting out of the car smoking on this cross country trip, and it's driving Pesci nuts, and it was so fucking good. Like I wasn't like what's happening. I was like I loved the way he was in no rush to get to violence, or because you knew that was coming.
Yeah, there's plenty of violence, and it's also it ends up being a lot of the story of Jimmy Hoffa. Because Robert De Niro's character was Jimmy Hoffa's right-hand guy.
For a long time, yeah. And they met through Pesci's character. Again, as everyone knows, it's based on the I Hear You Paint Houses.
Yes.
And which was a really good book about Frank Sheeran, which is what they would say when somebody commits murders. I Hear You Paint Houses means, and everybody knows this, but I hear you kill people. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, I do my own carpentry as well, means I also will get rid of the bodies. So Pacino plays an incredible Jimmy Hoffa.
Incredible.
And I think Jimmy Hoffa was a loudmouth. He was a fucking loudmouth.
Yes.
And Pacino played him like a loudmouth. Mm-hmm. And Pacino's age regression was fucking great.
It was perfect.
They showed him like a younger, he had the accent, that fucking, that Midwestern accent.
Yeah.
I hear you paint houses. It was so, and just to see him doing scenes with Joe Pesci, to watch Pesci and De Niro on camera together, doing something very different than they did in Raging Bull, Casino, Goodfellas, to watch Pacino and De Niro have so much camera time, different than Righteous Kill, which I didn't love, way different than Heat, where they were adversaries. Here they're friends. And watching them, knowing the real relationship between these guys, Hoffa and Buffalino, and then watching them together, it was fucking beautiful. Watching
really
them
was.
act together was amazing.
Plus, you also kind of had this feeling of like all these guys got together and said, everybody has already cemented their legacy, right?
Yeah.
And they go, let's give them one more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like let's give them one. Let's let everybody know that we can still do this. And we'll just add one more to the legacy, and they absolutely did.
And Pacino working with Scorsese I think the first thing they've ever done together was this.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure this was the first. And then it's funny, the cast outside of them. Ray Romano played his cousin. I guess Bill Buffalino was his name. The attorney. He played the attorney who actually introduces, and he was incredible.
Yeah,
and Ray is such a neurotic comedian. It's really funny. Like all comics are terrified of getting fired and thinking we suck. It's every comedian's fucking nightmare.
Which you would think if anybody wouldn't feel that, it would be Ray, right?
Yeah, well, comedians are all kind of comedians because on some level we feel like frauds who don't belong. There's something to every comic that has that. So when you're acting with legitimate people, there is that little even after you're Ray and you've done so much great stuff, there's that little part of you going, what the fuck am I doing here?
Right.
Like there's that little part of you, which is a comic that goes, you fuck, get out of here, you don't belong. And Dominic Lombardozzi plays Fat Tony Salerno, and he was Instagramming this fat makeup when he was doing it, and it was like if I didn't know it was him and recognize his voice, you'd have no idea it was him.
Absolutely not.
He was incredible.
And Sebastian Maniscalco did such a good job as Crazy Joe Gallo.
Crazy Joe Gallo. I've never seen Sebastian act before, and seeing him on the set. He was comfortable, but he was like me, he was a little bit like fucking overwhelmed by the experience.
Well, it's also like, it's not just making a movie, it's making the movie. Like this is an important piece of cinematic history. Nothing like this has happened before.
Well, you hope it's going to be. Like in the moment you don't know, but you know who you're working with and you know who the scene is with Pesci, De Niro, and Scorsese.
And you don't want to be the guy to fuck it up, right?
Dude, you don't want to be the guy to fuck it up. And he plays Crazy Joe Gallo. And I finally got to see what he did because he was very good in the scene we did. Like I knew what he did when I was with him, and he was great. And he was awesome. Like he's a really good fucking actor. Not 1 second did it take me out of it knowing that it was Sebastian, who's a guy who's my friend.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, when you know a guy, he was perfect as Gallo. He fit in the film. Like you didn't at one moment go like that's Sebastian. You're like, yep, that's another cast member, and he was Crazy Joe Gallo. So he did a great job.
What's so good, and that's what I think the Netflix model brings it, but I think you can also get away with it a little bit in theaters. Like Tarantino, I mean, some people loved it and some people didn't. How long Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was, but when a really good storyteller is just allowed to make their movies as long as they want to, it's perfect. They should. These movies need to be this long.
I love that it was this long because there was no rush. Like
right.
You didn't feel any rush
it's great
to it, and every character, some of them didn't get to be developed as much because they did so much development with De Niro and so much with Pacino and so much with fucking Pesci. Like there was so much with these guys.
But isn't that wild that you watch this 3.5 hour movie and you're like, I could see where 30 more minutes could be added easily.
Yeah, and I bet you there will be a version eventually.
It's even longer?
I'm hoping, because on Netflix they can do what they want. Like I'm hoping that they have a version on Netflix. Like you know how they're chopping up Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, making it like putting it on Netflix. I'm hoping,
like they did with Hateful Eight.
Yes,
yeah.
Or maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Sorry, that might be what I'm thinking of. I'm hoping that they do that with this, and there's anything taken out that they add.
Although it's so expensive every scene. You wonder if they're going to invest that even more money into.
Well, if they've already done them.
If they've already done
the
it,
scenes and just cut them. You're right. Maybe they cut them before the age regression.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
So we're watching, and Crazy Joe Gallo is involved in everything, and everybody goes, and all the main cast members, the characters go to see a Don Rickles performance.
And I didn't know if they were going to keep it. I had heard that they were going to.
Dude, not only, and I'll say this because I don't want Jim to be bashful, not only did they keep it, they kept it for an amount of time where I was like, oh my God, this is like, it's not a flash. Like there's a couple of jokes. And it's not like they don't go like, it's not background jokes. It's focus is on stage. Here's Don Rickles telling jokes. Jim playing Don Rickles, obviously. Then they go to the audience and the cast doing stuff. Then they go back to Don Rickles. There's a back and forth. Like it is, it's a good piece in the film.
Yeah, and again, the whole thing might last a minute, whatever it is. But I'm happy.
But it's your minute.
I can't believe that I made it. I thought it might be a completely quick flash, and I knew the night before I saw Ray at the Comedy Cellar. So I go on. We said hello, and I walked upstairs because he's getting ready to go on. And then somebody said, "Oh yeah, Ray said that he wanted to talk to you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Because I know he's in it. I didn't ask him when I saw him anything.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yeah, he wants to talk to you. And so I'm like, oh, fuck. I don't know what he's going to say. Is he going to go like, you got cut out? So I walked over to the Village.
You were thinking the worst, though.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I know he went to the Village Underground after to work on, because he'll do usually both. So I walk over there, and I'm going to find Ray. I have to know. Like, this is driving me fucking nuts. So he walked out of the Village Underground, and we said hello. And he goes, hey, man, you did a great job. And I'm like, did I make the cut? And he goes, yeah. He goes, you made. He goes, it's not a ton of stuff, but you were in it. And like, I don't know if he knew that I didn't shoot much more than that. Like, I shot enough where they had to cut a little bit. And I know that they're going to show some cast and some, but I don't know if he might have thought that I shot 2 or 3 scenes and not know.
No, it was a lot. It
was
a lot
more
of stuff.
than I expected. And thank you, sir. So they wind up. They showed they showed it, man. And Ray told me the night before that, but I didn't know if he saw a version. And Sebastian and I had talked. We had texted beforehand, and he had told me like the night before. He goes, "Yeah, our scene came out really good together. Have you seen it?" But I didn't know if these guys saw. Yes. Before they cut it, scene. That doesn't mean anything. Ray said he saw, but Ray could have seen it 4 months ago before they cut.
You never know. Day of the screening, they might go, you know what? Let's spice this up a little bit. Let's move this for timing. You just never know.
I watched an interview with Pacino, and he said, like, yeah, I saw it, but I didn't see he didn't see himself regress. He saw it when there were still dots on everything. Wow. Pacino had only seen it as an older person.
Yeah.
He had not seen it with himself like in through age regression, so he didn't know what he looked like. So I'm like, maybe Ray saw an earlier version of it.
Totally. And
had no fucking idea. But I watched it, and by the way, one of the jokes, because I was very scripted, and Sebastian said something really nice. You know, they Forbes does these pieces on comedians, and Scott King, I think his name is, does a great job with these pieces. So he winds up doing one on Sebastian.
Yeah.
And he sends me an email, and he goes, Sebastian said nice stuff about you and the scene you guys did together. So I said something about him as a comic, and I meant it, even if he hadn't said that. I would say nice shit because I think he's funny.
Yeah.
But he said, like, yeah, it was very well done. I forget what else he said, but he's like, yeah, the scene with us was really good. And I forget what I was going to say. I just lost my train of thought. But that's my fault. That's not my mind's all over the place. But anyway, he was very complimentary, and I was just happy that the scene. Sebastian said, Jim came really prepared. Like, he had so many fucking jokes. He came really prepared. And I had the script, and I had gotten a bunch of other Rickles stuff, from performances to night shows, roast. And I was just doing it like to keep it fresh. I would do the dialogue and then just do other jokes that they probably hadn't heard yet, just to try to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
And one of the jokes they used was one of the ones I had. It didn't matter, but I was so happy to see.
That's huge. I mean, it does.
I was just
matter.
happy. It made me happy that I had done that. Because that wound up making it in. I guess they liked the way it worked, or the physical, whatever it was.
It's so great. You come in with your own material, and that's what ends up in the movie.
That was Rickles' material, of course.
But it's your Rickles joke.
Yeah.
You're like, this one I want to do.
I was very happy about that. So it made me feel good that Sebastian had said that, because I was glad I came in really prepared.
I loved your Rickles cadence, too. You don't do like a full-on impression. Like, it's not a bad Rickles impression. It's your voice, but you have a Rickles cadence about it. And I thought it turned out really great.
Thanks, man. Yeah, you can only do some. Again, there's nothing worse. He's such a hard guy to do perfectly because again, everybody knows what Rickles looks and sounds like, and those guys all know him. So you just kind of, you do him as you feel like you're doing him.
Yeah.
But without doing an over the top.
Yeah.
You know.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. But the rest of the movie after that, I can't wait to watch it again.
Yeah.
Because you're so worried. Am I going to be in it? Am I not going to be in it? Am I going to ruin it? Am I not going to ruin it? I was in it. And I knew there was no more.
And you're waiting like, my scene should be here. Is my scene going to be there?
Dude, I didn't know when it would be. I had no idea. When they start showing the outside of the Copa, I'm like,
yeah,
maybe. And then I see Pesci and De Niro talking. I know the dialogue. I'm like, oh, fuck. And then they showed more of me than I thought they would. Again, it's not a long scene at all. It's not critical. When I saw my scene, I'm like, yeah, I get why I was not called up. Because there's other guys that were in it, like the guy that worked in the meat plant who had more dialogue than me. And I said to Sam, he's as important in the movie as I am.
Yeah,
he's more important in this movie than I am. So I knew where I stood in the scheme of things.
But it was a total win. It was a total complete win.
And again, it's funny. I was talking to Sebastian again, and just a typical comic. He's like, "We're in this thing forever. I can't believe we're in this thing."
That's what I was thinking. Like, for you, this is one of those things that no matter what happens in show business, you're like, no matter what, that exists now.
Yep.
And it can never be taken away. It doesn't have to lead to anything. It could be the last thing you ever do. It could be the first. It doesn't matter. That exists, in the universe, and you can never take it away. You're in The Irishman.
I'm in The Irishman.
It's incredible,
and
noticeably in. I would say,
and I could always say like people will know the part that I mean. Like it doesn't have to be like if you say, "Hey, I was the guy who was talking to him here," people might go, but it's like, "Oh yeah, I was Rickles in The Irishman." At least it's a thing that people know, even though it's not a big part. And it just felt it was surreal, the whole thing.
And people remember it. Like people were coming up to you at the after party.
Jesse Plemons was very nice. Yeah,
and going like, "Oh, you did a great Rickles. You did," like everybody remembered.
And at the after party, we go at the end, and we, Sam and I walk over to. It was a tavern on the green. It was like a 5-minute walk, and we walk in, and it's a mob scene. It's literally 500 people at this after party.
But I will say, and it's not my scene. I don't like parties, but I definitely don't like Hollywood after parties and show business parties and stuff like that. But it is always nice when a good friend of yours introduces you to a friend of his.
Well, we got to the place and I'm like, I don't know where the cast is. I don't know where they are. And it was because it's where Amy held her train wreck thing, and I forgot how crowded that place gets.
Oh yeah.
So I'm looking. I'm like, they're probably in a fucking area we can't get into.
Because as we discovered earlier in the evening,
there are areas that for
the purple tickets to the after party were not as exclusive as you might have thought that they were.
Yeah, the purple ticket was the equivalent of walking up going, "Hi, I'm a big fan of Scorsese." So we get it, we're looking all over and we're walking through, but I'm like, let's just go and find. So we walk into this back area and not a back area. You can get there through the restaurant, but it's getting a little crowded. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I think this is probably where they're going to be. And did we see anybody that first time we went there? There was nobody there yet, right?
Not yet, but we saw there were a lot of reserved tables.
Yeah, we saw a table reserved for Joe Pesci.
Yes.
And then we walked out to mingle a little bit, but a part of me is like, I don't know if we should leave this area.
Right. Because it's also like Jim and Sam mingling is like the two of us just awkwardly standing in a corner.
It's horrible.
By ourselves. It's not, there's no mingling happening.
It's hard. There's no mingling. It's me and Sam looking for food.
Yeah.
And then we see cameras going off in the area we were in 10 minutes ago. So like, all right, let's go back in. So we go to walk back in, and there is a guy now stopping people. And this is where Jesse Plemons walked by, and somebody's walking him through. Go, yeah, he's in the cast. They walked him through, and I'm right behind.
Right.
And then the guy stops everybody. And he's stopping people not even to be a dick. It's so fucking mobbed back there.
It's a fire hazard.
It's a fire hazard. It's almost like there's so many people in that area that they just have to stop people from going back there so they're safe. So I'm like, fuck. We're so dumb. We were there. So then I walk back outside. I'm like, let's try to sneak in where the bus boys and waiters were coming in, because that's how we walked out the first time. So we get there, and there's now a guy at that goddamn door. And I walk up to him. I'm like, hey, and he goes, oh, hey, man. And he goes, hey, it's good to see you. And he was a fan, I was like, phew, thank God. So, and I'm trying to find my fucking date who disappeared. I've never wanted to see you before in my life, and every time you're gone, I'm happy. However, this one time, I'm like, where the fuck is Sam? Because this guy is going to let us in.
Do you know why I wasn't there? It was hilarious. And I didn't tell you this at the time. It was like a scene out of a cartoon. I swear, because there's so many people that I'm just like, Jim, you go do it. I'm gonna just follow you. Like you take the lead on this one. I'm following you. And I realized after I had passed you that I was following another short bald guy. Like at some point, you and another short bald guy had switched places, and there was a different Norton head that I didn't realize was not your Norton head that I'd been following. And I went, oh no! And that's why I turned around and I'd already passed you. Because it was a different Norton head.
So I'm like, where the fuck did Sam go? But then you come back, I texted you, and as I'm texting you, you walk back. Mm-hmm. And the guy lets us in, and it's a madhouse back there. Scorsese is now back there with 50 people in front of his the tables are against the wall, and there's just paparazzi and fans and fucking people. And
John Turturro was back there.
I said hello to him. Yeah, he had no idea. I think he thought I shook his head. I go, you're just awesome. You're awesome. And he goes, oh, thank you. I think he thought that I'm so stupid. I thought he was in the movie.
Right.
But I didn't.
You just think he's awesome in general.
He's fucking great.
He is great.
Spike Lee was back there taking a photo with Scorsese, talking to Scorsese. Like even Spike had to squeeze his way in to say hello.
How great was John Turturro in Quiz Show?
He's great in everything.
Everything.
But I more like him from Spike, like Do the Right Thing and fucking all of Spike Lee's movies. He's phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
So we walk over and we see De Niro getting seated. But again, there's a sea of people. But I'm like, him, I want to walk over and at least thank, because I knew that he got me the tickets. They came from him.
That's not like a fake, oh, I just want to meet you. That's actually, I know you. I want to thank you for hooking this up.
Yeah. So I went over. And I waited a second, and I squeezed my way in, and we said hello. And, I talked to his son and his daughter a little bit. He's got his family. He always has his family at those things. And he was very nice. He was very complimentary and sweet, and I introduced you to him. Again, I didn't take a photo. It was just, there was no time. I wanted to get Sam a picture, but there was no way that he was sitting with his family.
No, it would have been inappropriate and weird anyway. But, for, hey, this is Sam, my co-host. Oh, hey, nice to meet you. Shake hands with Robert De Niro. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and he was very, very nice. And can
I call him Bob now?
What's that?
Can I call him Bob since we had that?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's more of just a you thing still?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we saw Ray, and we talked to Ray.
Yes.
And he told us where they were going after, if we wanted to go, I guess. But I had to fly in the morning. And on the way out, I just said hello to Scorsese briefly. On the way. Again, it was crazy how crowded it was.
And you did try to get... I could tell you were trying to angle to introduce me to Scorsese as well, which was huge, but I could also see that in the body language, I was like, no, let's not.
No, I wasn't going to push it because he was talking to people. I just shook his hand.
And then once we realized the handshaking was over, we spent a little bit of time at the after party looking for very crowded areas for Jim to flatulate.
Yeah, I farted. I had putrid gas. I farted once right before I met Scorsese because there was photographers all over, and I dropped an explosion.
We're just sitting there, right? We're trying to say hello to Scorsese just before we go or whatever, and there's photographers everywhere, actors and celebrities. Just everybody is just in a pit of people, and Jim just starts looking over his shoulder at me and smiling, and I'm like, why is he smiling? And he just looks at me and he goes, did you get any? I was like, oh, not here.
It was, and apparently DiCaprio was right in that area. We didn't see him. We heard he was there, and then we saw his tweet. There was so many people. I think DiCaprio was sitting between him, and we didn't even see DiCaprio.
We didn't see DiCaprio.
But he was there, so that's why all those people probably went crazy.
But by the way, to answer the question, I did get some. It was disgusting.
Yeah, it was a tremendously bad fart.
Then we found 3 very attractive women standing together, and Jim stood next to them and passed gas, and then backed away to see if they would react.
Yeah. I dropped a few gaspers on the way out.
Yes.
I felt obligated. I had a wonderful night, and what better way to end the evening?
It's true.
Than to and we had to.
Hollywood hasn't changed you.
No, I'm the same guy. And we will get to our friend on the phone in 1 second. On the way out, we were walking out, and they were walking Pesci out. He just made an appearance, and he's 76 years old, and just watching him walk out. And I didn't talk to him on the way out because there was security all over him because it's such a crowded place and they're waiting for his car.
And we watched some amateur
try to get a photo.
But both Jim and I, we've been around the block a few times. We knew in the approach that it was going to fail, and it failed.
And I'm sure I could have said goodnight but I'm like, for what? You already said hello to the guy. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
And but just looking at Joe Pesci standing there, it was fun to watch these security guys standing around him, and they were all just happy to be around Joe Pesci.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I think is so rare, even at these like Hollywood events. You know what I mean? Like security and stuff like that, they don't care about most actors. They don't care about most show business people. But when it's like, it's just, when are you ever going to be around or in a room full of icons?
Those 3 were in the room together. Pesci,
it'll
Scorsese,
never happen again.
De Niro, they were all in the room together for the first time in many, many years, probably. Because Pesci retired, and he hasn't done a movie in almost 10 years. So it was amazing. I'm grateful to be in it. I'm sorry to yap about it. So I'm like, I was high about it, and I'm happy my part was there for the length it was, and it was just, I love the fucking movie. And so did the critics too. I'm not just saying that because I'm in it. Like, I love this movie.
No, the movie is incredible, and it made me think too. Like, it's definitely going to change the game for Netflix in a big way.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be really cool for filmmakers, like for content creators, because I was thinking about it, and like it's kind of like what Sirius did for people who do radio. Like, it's such a luxury for you and I to be able to do this show and not only do whatever we want in terms of formatting the show, but not have to worry about ratings ever. Like in regular radio, it's a constant worry about 15-minute increments. You're constantly worried about ratings, books, points, ratings. Like when you're on Sirius, there's no ratings. You don't have to worry about it. And I was thinking, like, how amazing is it that Scorsese gets to make a movie like this, and he doesn't have to worry about the box office at all.
He's doing this. They're doing this for. We'll go to just to finish up and find out what he's.
I figured we'd take a break because he called in early. He'll stay on.
Oh, is he early?
Yeah, he's early.
Oh, tell 4 that we'll break and get to him. We come back then.
Yeah.
Or we can call back in 10 minutes. Oh, I didn't know he was early.
Yeah, he's early. So we'll take a break.
We can
still get him at the scheduled time.
Oh, I didn't realize it was early.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's called in like 10 or 15 minutes early.
Okay.
Which is fine, but
yeah, we'll. I guess we'll break then.
But yeah, I mean, isn't it? I mean, it's amazing that they could make movies like this and not have to worry about what the box office is.
Yeah, and they did that, I think, more for Oscar consideration.
Yes,
which I'm sure something will be.
It should be
nominated.
At least nominated. Best Picture,
Best Director.
Best Actor, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor.
You might get 2 supporting. You might get either De Niro or Pacino nominated for Best Actor,
or both,
or you know what?
You could.
That's right. Neither one of them is a supporting actor.
No way.
Both of them will get probably Best Actor nominations, and Pesci should get Best Supporting Actor
for sure.
Yeah, Best Screenplay. Maybe I don't know, but I mean, it would suck if they didn't. I mean, I can't.
It'd be insane if
it would be crazy.
Yeah,
and it's not just the hype. I mean, it went into a direction you didn't think it was going to go in. And they show, a lot of this guy is an old guy.
Yeah.
And they go back to his youth, and it's great, man.
I mean, yeah, you look at Green Book won Best Picture. You mean to tell me that this is not a Best Picture?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Bob Kelly's coming in, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, great.
Bobby is entering. He's a little late.
That's okay.
But I'm happy he's...
Well, he's perfect to have this conversation with.
Yeah, he is. He's a big tech guy. Hi, Bob.
The big tech guy is right.
Yeah, big tech guy.
We're talking about, can you see Sammy Brand Muffins on, he's in Florida.
I don't like that he cut his hair.
Why not?
I forgot to mention that it does look a little weird.
Because he looks like a Canadian bushcrafter now, like an Alaskan man on his own or some shit.
Thank you.
But before it was like the hair was his thing. It was like a little crazy. So if you ever see somebody at the airport,
sure,
and they're just.
What
Do you ever see somebody on a plane?
Yeah.
Do you ever see somebody outside?
Yes.
Have you ever seen somebody at your house?
No.
Okay, there you go. I knew I'd get you.
I'm
lonely. But he, and you're at like some little dude with weird glasses or a scarf or crazy hair. You're like, I don't care. That guy's weird looking, but he's interesting. I would like to talk to him.
Yeah.
He had that. Now I'll walk by him in the airport and not even notice him.
Dude, I'm 36 years old. I can't be the kind of wacky kid forever.
Yeah, you're in a thing called show business.
That's right.
That's true.
Okay.
Look, I'm still the last professional broadcaster. I cut my hair.
Oh.
I got a big beard.
Oh.
Obviously, been hitting the gym
So
a lot.
did I.
I'm a man.
I have a big beard too. Listen, her name's Dawn. Yeah, dude. Listen, you got to grow it back. First of all, because you're balding. Okay, and I can say this to you now because you're one of us.
Yeah.
The craziness on the side made your weird balding acceptable.
That's right.
Now you're just a fucking aging ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just such a hurtful way to say it.
Yeah, now you're just getting old. I mean, before you were just a weird dude with crazy hair. What does he do? I could see you. Wow, what is that guy? His hair is crazy.
He's interesting.
Yes, he was interesting. Now I will walk by you 10 out of 10 times.
I bet what you're saying, and not to jump on you when Bob is here, but you're saying that he looked like an adorable Muppet, and now he looks like a guy who shits on a grate in the winter.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have said it as funny as that, but yes, yes.
Look, Bob, I mean, I've gotten to a place in life
where
all I want is for 10 out of 10 people to walk by me and leave me alone.
No,
that sounds great.
No, you're not there yet.
You don't think so?
No, you're not there yet. You want them all to go, "Hey, Sam." You don't want them to walk by you. I would literally ask you for help at Home Depot if I saw you.
See, that's great. I'm a man.
Hey, where are the nails, dude?
Hey, and I look like a guy who would know. That's a guy who does construction on his own house.
No, that's a guy who works here.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, so you have an apron on.
Why did you cut it? Because I actually forgot to ask you. I saw it on FaceTime one day.
Yeah, no, I just I got so sick of it.
Oh, you did?
I just got tired of it. And, I mean, it's not like that dramatic. I just kind of, as the sides were growing more than the top was going, I was like, we got to do something about this. This looks fucking ridiculous.
It is easier the way it is. Now, how about the beard? Have you considered shaving it? Doesn't it itch? It would drive me crazy.
No. I love my beard. Yeah, it doesn't itch at all.
I like your beard too, but do something with it.
Yeah, like what?
Stop. You have a regular beard. You're in show business. You're in the WWE. There's an E for entertainment.
That's
okay?
true. That is right. It is. They got the F out.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, you're on the biggest show.
Yeah, the F is definitely out today. Because you're not here.
That's really unfortunate that you said that. That's a real bummer for me.
Is anybody faster?
He's just lightning.
I just
don't
know. I don't even understand it. If he was a superhero, he would just make other superheroes feel like shit.
What do you think? Because I like my beard the way it is. You put a little product in it,
buddy.
Smooth it down a little bit. So
it's too regular, dude. You look like you're going to review a tent on YouTube. Well, this is the Nature Hike, brand new F1. It's with 20D nylon ripstop.
Hey, don't forget to click the like, hit subscribe.
Listen,
so,
dude.
What do you think I need? But what do you mean when you say do something?
Listen, buddy, you had pizzazz with your hair. Okay. You've always had pizzazz with your hair. You used to have pizzazz with your cute looks. Okay, those died.
You don't think Sam has cute looks anymore?
No,
I'm a handsome man. I'm an unconventionally handsome man.
No. The guy over here, right here, your producer. That's a handsome man.
Who?
Troy is Troy.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Mike. I was like, whoa.
There's nobody else in here. No. There's never been another cute
Although
person in this room.
Mike is a strapping young buck in the other room. He's a strapping ex-Marine lad.
He's a good-looking guy if your fantasy is to be date raped.
Yeah.
Have a fucking balding, sweaty psychopath on you holding your face down with one hand. Yeah.
He looks like every wrestling coach brought up on charges.
Yeah. Oh God, his balding is scary. That's serial killer.
Is he balding? He doesn't look like he's bald, is he?
Oh, he's bald.
He's thin. He's very thin.
Yeah, he's thin.
Is he? I didn't even notice.
Very, very thin.
Yeah, I have pretty thin hair. My dad's a train wreck. Like it's like a mirror on the back of his head. It's really scary.
Yeah, I would start fixing that now. If you're gonna fix it, fix it. If not, just shave your head.
Yeah, I'll probably go with some kind of crop pretty soon.
You just be you, Mike. Whatever makes you happy. Don't let these guys bully you into fucking getting a buzz cut.
Yeah, don't let you bully into a buzz cut like somebody over here.
I know, but I knew I had to do it because A, it's thinning, and B, I have cowlicks. My hair is a disaster when I let it grow.
When you say cowlicks, it makes me so.
I don't blame you.
Because I had a cowlick too in the front, and I could never get. I always wanted punk rock hair back in the day, spiked. So it would go up on the sides, and you had the little tail in the back, and it was spiked on top. And I wanted that hair so bad. Pop the collar, iron that Izod, roll up my jeans, my Lee jeans, wear some Adidas and spiked hair. But I had cowlicks, so I could never. I had crooked spikes, and they would fall. Made me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, see, when your hair doesn't do what you want it to, it's humiliating.
It really is humiliating.
I never had good hair.
It's not even like it's your fault. It's just the way God made you, but somehow you look like a poser because you got cowlicks. It's not fair.
I used to bobby pin my hair just to get it to go like so it wouldn't McDonald's, and when it was wet I would bobby pin it just so it would dry straight.
You would bobby pin your hair?
I would bobby pin the front of my hair because I would try to comb it down like a bowl cut almost, and it would fucking but it would split, my greasy forehead would show, so I would bobby pin it closed like a butterfly stitch on a wound, hoping that my hair would look cool.
You had a steel bobby pin from your mom's bathroom?
Yes, I did. A couple.
Poor lady was trying to get ready for work, didn't have enough bobby pins because her queer son was trying to get a hairdo.
Yeah. Jim had taken her bobby pins and her favorite house dress.
I really looked bad. My hair was a disaster.
But I mean, when Jim and I went to the Irishman premiere, we talked about it on Monday, and Jim, when I went to that premiere with you, my hair had a little product in it. It was a little more acceptable. It had a nice suit on. I looked great. I didn't
notice what your hair had in it. I know the product I wish it had in it was lead.
Okay. All right.
Do you know why people wear suits?
Why?
To look great. That's why because they take the average schmuck, put him in a suit, and now he's in the office. He doesn't look like a dickhead.
That's right.
That's what suits do.
Clothes makes a man.
Stop acting like it was your fucking head with a little product made you look good.
Wait,
the
how?
suit made you look good.
I didn't notice the product, honestly.
Listen.
Wait, I mean, yeah, but that's because, that it's, you would have people would have noticed if I had my big, ridiculous hair, but when
keyword is noticed.
I don't want to go to a premiere of somebody else's movie and be like, "Hey guys, I'm somebody too."
Yeah, you do.
I'm a +1.
That's called fucking show business, you jackass. You want to go and go, who the fuck is that guy? A producer? Is he? Oh, that's Sam Roberts from the Jim and Sam show. Hence, more people fucking listen because you have a little style. Look at this guy over here. He doesn't have much to work with. But look at him. He keeps his teeth white. He's got a beautiful smile. He has a smile of a praying mantis.
I wore a blazer. I looked very handsome on my blazer.
Yeah, you guys both. I saw you both look good.
I had to look handsome.
Yeah, well, you have no choice.
I wanted to say hello to Marty and some people. You want to look handsome,
Marty?
Yeah, if I'm going to meet Bob, I'd like to look handsome too.
Say Bob again.
I wanted to meet Bob.
You're lucky. I'm going to throw this at that screen. You guys, you don't call him Bob, do you?
I do.
Jim, do you?
Yeah.
Does he know who you are?
Yeah.
Dude.
Your confidence makes me want to throw up.
He does.
Oh,
it's
God.
disgusting. Bob got Jim the tickets. The ticket said guest of Robert De Niro, and we were sitting with Bob's friends and closest coworkers.
You were?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're friends with Robert De Niro?
It's a real relationship, dude.
I know him, but I wouldn't say I'm friends with him as somebody who hangs out with him, but he's very nice to me.
Do you know how happy that makes me? That he's at the end of his life and you finally made it. You got fucking months of this friendship before he's gone.
Are you happy I didn't meet De Niro after after Goodfellas?
It makes me so happy. You met him when he's 4 inches shorter than the regular one we know.
You know what, though? I mean, I just take the friendship day by day.
Yeah, you have to. Because he's not going to be around year by year.
Oh, God bless Bob. He's going to outlive us all.
Oh, okay.
Healthy as a horse, that Bob, isn't he?
I hope he has another movie for you. He doesn't make it.
I do not hope that.
We want you to star in this. That's the funny. I always say that about me is that I always get stuff when it's dead. I always get the festival. It's last year
when the industry's no longer going.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually still auditioning for the Vale Festival. Remember that before Aspen?
Yeah. I always get that shit. I'll do Rogan when he's like right before he gets a nice #MeToo. The day of, I can't make it today. He's in court,
or when he quits.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm just going to go hunt.
Or he's farming it out to other people. Like, you're going to talk to my producer today.
Yeah, I'm going to go and Jay Davis is going to be hosting Rogan. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Have you tried to get on, Joe?
It's not. I'm not going to get on Joe. It's done. It's over.
What do you mean? Everybody, all the comics. Mark Norman got on Joe.
Yeah,
you should get on Joe.
Everybody. He literally, if I hadn't been married for 11 years, I wouldn't sniff out his horse shit.
Whoa!
What do you mean? I'm singing my sentences. My name's Sam Roberts. My hair doesn't match my character anymore.
Whoa! Maybe that's what you need, Bob. Maybe you need like a fun wig. And then Joe Rogan would notice you.
That's I actually thought about that for a second. No. It's one of those things. I think that show you just get on when you get on. It's not a, it's not a thing where it's like, hey, can I get? At that point, it's like I don't want to ask. I know him. I've known him forever.
Ask.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
I mean, there's like way lower level comedians that have been on there.
Sometimes you have to ask somebody.
Not that much lower level.
There's a difference between asking somebody and begging, and saying to somebody, "Hey, man, I'm going to be out there. Do you have any room in the next month or whatever it is fair." To anybody.
Absolutely, but I just have nothing. There's nothing. I was out there last week. And he wasn't. I don't know. I did Bert. I love doing Bert because I like doing Bert as well. We're friends,
Yeah.
What's a funny thing about these podcasts though that I've been finding is that when it's not mine or it's not this show, I find myself I wind up listening. I wind up not you're sitting there just listening to somebody talk. I don't know, maybe it was because I had a cigar or whatever. I was just too relaxed. I get too relaxed, and all of a sudden, I'm just like, yeah, it's cool. And I just let people talk for now. And then I'm in my head like, oh, you haven't said anything for 10 minutes.
Just because you're used to broadcasting and, there's no pressure. It takes all the pressure off.
Yeah.
Like me, I like to go in there like a barrel of laughs and just entertain everybody and promote my product.
Like you were on Bar Rescue, a barrel of laughs.
Well, that wasn't a place for laughter. That was a place for undercover work.
I see. Yeah, Jim went undercover as somebody who hasn't been doing comedy for 25 years.
That was a place to go in there and act like just a regular folk.
You pulled it off.
I sure did.
You pulled it off.
I had a couple of funny lines. They took them out.
You and your stupid drink, like you're drinking.
No, I
Yeah,
told
they
them
didn't mention
They
it
didn't.
was
I
virgin.
asked for alcohol free, but they took the alcohol free part out.
Yeah.
and made it look like I had. Of course, I said no alcohol. I don't drink.
Dummy, just some dumb alky. We saw what Jim would be if he never met Opie. Just a fucking shadrul with a asshole with a beard ordering a pizza at a bar.
Yeah,
But
really.
Bob, you have two speeds. You're either on or you're off. When you come here, you're like,
That's all. Yeah.
No,
one of us, and you're a host with us. But
I had a great time on Bert's, but it's such a relaxing back. The backyard is his house is amazing.
Does he still have candy in those little dishes?
He has everything in this little thing, and the thing's open, and there's chickens, and it's nice out, and you get you all this drink and stuff, and I was like, wow, I just was smoking cigars, and it was just like the most relaxing fucking. Plus, Bert, when he tells such great stories, so you're sitting there just listening to him yap, and you're like, yeah, So I had a blast though. He was fun. I had a blast with him. And that's
Did you
it.
do Corolla? Have you ever done Corolla show?
I've never done Corolla. No, I've never done that.
Have you tried to do it?
I went. You know when I hung out with Burr?
I've done Corolla.
I hung out with Burr one night at his house. Beautiful place. We had such a fucking great time, man. Such a great time. We smoked cigars out on his balcony. You feel like you're on vacation. You know what I mean?
Right.
At this section of LA, it's just beautiful. The view, so great. But his house is so homey too, And we.
But you also probably felt like you were on vacation because it was so beautiful, and also you didn't have that many podcasts to do. So you had so much free time.
It's so easy dealing with him. Being married for 11 years, it all makes sense. Sam's approach to comedy is being a wife. Just a passive aggressive fucking bitch. Yeah, I really just relaxed it out there, Sam.
What did you go out there for? By the way, how psyched are you about our? You haven't been on. How psyched are you about our fucking the Degenerates airing?
Oh yeah.
At the have you edited yours?
I edited.
Giving them the notes. Yeah,
I did.
I did too. I have one more quick note I'm going to give them today. But at New Year's Eve it's airing.
It's airing New Year's Eve. I did my notes that weekend.
Yeah, me too.
On Netflix.
And it was probably one of the great things I've done in the business. Hanging out with you. You were out there. Voss was out there. Everybody on the show I really liked. And we knew everybody from Netflix, from Just for Laughs and Comedy Central.
Sure, Robbie for many years, yeah.
It was, Robbie and Joanne.
From Comedy Central, yeah.
And Adam, all these people it was like, oh my God, this is the first time I've done something where I like everybody involved, like production-wise, and all the comics on it. And then me and you, it was one of the great, we had that meal. That hotel, dude.
The Wynn Hotel did kind of floor us.
Listen, man. That room. When I walked into that room, I was staying at the Rio for 5 days before that, working on the set. And look, the Rio's fine. I'm not a hotel diva. It's a king bed. It's all brand new stuff. They redid everything and blah blah blah. Pillows, the rooms, the floors, the tables. But when you step into the Wynn and there's a button on the wall that says "All On," and you hit that. And the shades, the curtains, the lights, everything goes on quietly, and then you walk in. It's like heaven.
The
It's
drapes and the shears. The shears.
Yeah, shears.
That was a lovely time.
It was so good. The bed I felt like I was being. I remember that we ate that meal at Allegro
in the hotel
with Enzo, the chef, who was probably one of the coolest fucking guys ever.
Yeah, he stood there with us. It made me feel very important. The chef was there with us the whole time talking.
You are very important.
But I don't feel that way. Thank you, Sam.
He loves comics. He just loves comics. And we were sitting there. He sat with us the whole time, took all our menus, and just started shoveling food in front of our faces. And he kept. The thing with chefs, though, they don't like when you don't finish food.
Yeah.
I learned that about chefs. When they give you food, you better fucking eat it because they want you to enjoy it. They want it gone.
And the night before a shoot, too, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing the night before I'm shooting this?
Yeah, he was.
But you enjoyed yourself.
I loved it, dude. It was so good.
Miss Pat showed up. She was hilarious. She was drunk.
Yeah.
Just talking shit.
Her sexy stylist was with her.
So sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Voss showed up.
Yeah, I told you, Jim, just looking at photos of the three of you, Bob, Voss.
Jonathan was there.
Yeah, it just made me so happy. Like to look at you guys and like you just happened to be in Vegas all at the same time. I mean, I know you and Bob are doing the Degenerates together, but Voss happened to be there as well. It just seemed like a reunion in Vegas. It made me happy to see.
Yeah, and Florentine came. He didn't see the show. We saw him briefly at the end. He came on the last day. He was doing his own show out there.
That would have been great if he came that night.
I know, but he was actually working not too far. The whole experience was unbelievable.
I went back after that meal. I think it was like 2:00. We went back up to the room. I hadn't slept in like almost a day. I went back to that room. I took a shower in that. I mean, just a huge shower.
Yeah.
And then I put on fresh panties. And I went into that. I hit all off.
Yeah.
And I shut the doors and I went into that bed. I felt like I was being hugged by like 17 angels. Because it was hot. It was warm but cold.
Yeah, cool but comfortable. Yeah.
Oh, and then I went into the bed. I felt so good. I slept. I had radio the next day. I slept right through it.
Yeah, through Cowhead, right?
Slept right through Mike. I love Mike. Slept right through it. And then I went back to bed till 11 o'clock. It was the best sleep I got probably in years in that bed.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I want to go there again.
But the taping was fucking great. I mean, Jesus, Jimmy, you murdered.
So did you. Thank you.
I can't wait to see all of them.
He murdered.
Yeah, it was weird.
Bob's right though. When you especially when you have a family, and you end up in a nice hotel. Oh my God, is it paradise?
Oh boy.
Oh my God,
so nice.
I know. I hate it. I like being away. Just kind of leaving the rigmarole behind.
What rigmarole?
Yeah, you go home and you might as well be living in a hotel. It's just alone.
You have faces drawn on pillows at your house?
Yeah, mine for being pressed into it.
Nobody faster.
So yeah, it was a great time, man. It was such a good trip. Yeah. Bobby had two hard spots too, like as far as when you had to go on, last and first. And I murdered on both. And I knew you would, but I know how they were shitty spots.
I always get those fucking spots. Yeah. I'm on last at the Cellar every fucking show for 20 years. I'm on last. Every time I'm on any festival I do, I'm always the fucking dude. Put him up last because he can do it. It bugs the fuck out of me. Because yes, but there's also a sense of, let me have a nice spot. I'm filming a fucking TV show, and you're putting me. I always have to pull a fucking Tom Brady, because your brain is like, fuck. I got to close. I got to go up after everybody. They shut the AC off right at the first comic.
Oh, because of the sound.
So by the time I get up, the first show, last spot, 5 seconds in, I'm sweating. Like a fucking, like I should be sweating. I'm in my, I'm sweating so bad I could feel it going down wrinkles in my neck.
Was there anything you did that you thought bombed? Because I didn't think you had any, I only saw part of it. I didn't think you had a bad moment in 2 sets.
No, the only part that fucked me up was when I read on the monitor, wipe your head. There's a towel on the stool.
Oh, they said that to you? That's fucking funny.
Blinking in red.
Wipe your head. You look over, there's a handgun.
Yeah. That's the only part that threw me during my first set. But the second set, I was bummed out going first, but it actually worked out because the AC was kicking for an hour. And when I went up, it was nice and chill, and the audience was popping. I used the whole second set.
I did too, but I intermixed. I'm so OCD. I intermixed a lot, but the second was always almost everything I've ever shot. The second set is always the template.
I cut out a couple things from the first because I said it better. Yeah, but I didn't fuck up any jokes. I forgot it. Oh, I forgot a joke in the second one.
Yeah,
because I was doing so. What happens? When you do it at a live, the tempo when you go to a next joke or when you finish a joke is the applause, even how loud it is. It's like, oh, that's the end of that joke,
right?
And if if they're really good, I end jokes early because I'm like, oh, that's the end applause. My brain just goes, move on.
Couldn't you just pull it up for the early show?
I did. I pulled there was a joke that I didn't do on the second one that I pulled up on from the first one. So
yes,
Bob, how many pants do you buy before you're shooting a special?
I have two pairs. I bought one pair for the special. I bought I bought an outfit for the special.
Okay, because I like to survey comedians because Jim bought 10 pairs of pants before he buys 10 pairs of pants before he shoots specials.
Here's what it is. I put on 10 pounds, so I didn't want to wear my old stuff and feel uncomfortable in it. And I wasn't sure which ones I wanted. So I bought 5, but you have to buy 2 for a shoot because again, if something happens in between shows, you're fucked.
I don't. First of all, I don't care about that. The one thing I love about being a comic is that I could literally do a special. I remember one of Louis' specials. He had 2 grease stains on his T-shirt. I was like, this is why I love comedy.
No. I don't want to fuck up and not be able to cut in between shows.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Comedy doesn't matter. Richard Pryor had sweaty armpits in one and not in the other. Right in the same joke.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, it doesn't. Because he's so funny.
Yeah.
No, people don't fucking care about comics like that. People care about continuity, and when you're trying to tell a story in a movie, and but I don't think that's why I love comedies. I had 1 pair of jeans, I had 1 shirt, and I had to fan it off in between because
I went
sweaty.
crazy. I fucking bought 2 of everything except the jacket.
You put on 10 pounds, put on 100, then the options are less. You only have 2 pants in the world you can wear.
Yeah, I went trouser shopping. I was very panicky.
But you're also
I wanted a good pant.
You're going for that teen idol thing too.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't want to just be a comics comic. You want to be somebody that that the teenage girls are like, oh my god,
I want to be
see Jim in those
over.
pants.
Jim looked good. Jim looked good. I gotta say, he was actually going between 2 options on jackets. He had a Rambo jacket, a green army jacket.
That's a shirt.
It's a shirt.
It looks like a jacket.
It's called a shirt jacket.
Oh, shirt jacket.
Shirt jacket.
Oh, I called it a jert. Okay, but a shirt jacket is better.
It's a shirt jacket.
Oh, okay.
What did you call it? A shirt jacket?
A jert.
No, it's Shay's shirt jacket.
Shirt jacket.
Say it again.
Shirt jacket.
That's it. Yeah, you got it.
Shirt jacket.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Yeah, it is a jackety looking shirt. You're right.
And then he had a really cool black faded kind of dungaree jacket.
Yeah.
And I was like, please go with the dungaree. It thins you out. You look great.
Don't you think Jim looks a little better with a little weight on him?
I think he looks a little better, yeah.
Yeah.
What are you trying?
Yeah, keep it a little heavy, Jim. Don't even worry about it.
Is there a contract situation up? What's going on? No, you do look good. But
Jim worries about his weight too much.
He was going to pick the other jacket, the Rambo jacket, and I'm so glad he didn't because Adrian Appalucci wore the same fucking jacket.
Yeah.
It would have been him and her wearing the same outfit, like they're part of a creepy army. Whoa!
Okay, it's all right.
Jim and Sam and never Bob again. Wow.
It was a super good run before that one.
Well,
That's
I said I knew creepy army wasn't going to get a laugh. I just had nothing else, guys. You got to
it's all good. There's nothing wrong with creepy army.
Whoever told you that you could work with men?
Nobody. Yeah,
Bob, do you have any? What's your hobby of the moment? That's what I'm always very curious. I feel
like helping people. Oh
no, not you, Jim. Not you, and that's not true anyway. I feel like you came in a while back and you taught us all about bushcraft party boys. Then I think it was the last time you were in. Mm-hmm. You taught me about Luma Fusion, and I have to tell you, literally since that spot you did on the show, I've been using it on a regular basis all the time.
They should give me fucking stock options in that company.
I think so. At least a little promo code Bobby or something.
And the new one coming out that I saw a video for is even fucking crazier. The stuff they're adding to Luma Fusion. Fusion is crazy. I can't remember I just remember watching going, holy shit, this is going to be fucking crazy. I don't know.
So what's the new thing? For you, what's in your life that's got you excited right now?
I would have to say I'm into bags right now.
On your nose?
No.
I knew that was coming.
I wouldn't want a bag on my nose. Oh, just a fucking imagine having a guy's nutsack on your nose.
What's that like, Jim?
I wouldn't know.
Or chin. But so you like knapsacks?
No, I'm into these. I'm into like the perfect bag. I got one right now that's pretty cool. It's called Psycop that I like. Okay. Because I travel so much. I'm on the road every fucking weekend.
Have you given up on bags for a moment because you were bandolier? You had me as bandolier boy.
Yes, I have. But I'm into slings now. I think slings are the shit.
I see.
Because now when I fly, I have this backpack that is a duffel bag, or it slims down to a backpack. It's modular, so it can be a bigger bag and take all my clothes with it. And I have these little bag. You put all your stuff in it, roll and zip it. What are those called? The
a bag.
Roller bags.
No, inside of the bag. So it's like a organizing bag that you put all your stuff in. Before the bag? And you put that in your bag. So it keeps everything tight.
I see.
I don't think about my luggage that much. I have one bag. I just once in a while buy if I need one, but
I travel way more than you.
Yeah, you do a lot more weekends.
I travel way more than you. So this bag thing, this side cop bag is the shit. And then they have a sling, but the sling is great because I put the bag up top and I take the sling to the seat and all my shit's in it. So there's no anxiety on the plane. Everything's in it. My iPad's in it, all my cords, everything I need to fucking enjoy a flight in coach is no, I'm plus. But yeah,
economy plus.
Economy
a little
plus.
more leg room, right?
Good for you.
Well, I've actually been flying first class. Like it's not that expensive. It's not like $6,000 anymore. Sometimes it's like $800 for first class.
Depends on where you're going, but yeah, a lot of times it's not even worth it. Like sometimes it's so much. There are times where it's more expensive, where it's like I'll just fly coach. It's not worth.
I gotta say too, one thing about Jimmy, he's not a cheap person ever. When we were at the Wynn, this blew me away. We had suites. They gave us suites, but Jimmy goes, they upgrade you. It's cheap. It's not that much. Just do it. So we're at the thing, and look, I got a wife and kid. I can't just fucking upgrade to a bigger suite because my wife's gonna go, well, who's over? How many people do you fucking need? Jimmy walks up. He goes, upgrade. He goes, what's up with the upgrade? She goes, well, you can upgrade for this much. And he goes, he's doing it. And he just flopped out a black card and paid for my upgrade.
That's so nice,
dude. It was so much. It was so great to. I mean, my room was fine.
Yeah.
But to go to that floor, like Tito Ortiz was on my floor.
Did you see Tito?
Yeah, we were in the elevator one night when I went up by myself, and Tito, and it felt good not to get off the floor before him,
right?
Where I should.
You know, nothing makes you feel worse than like when you're there with somebody. When you're there with somebody and you're talking, and then they go to a different part of the hotel, like the rich part of the hotel, and you're like, oh no, I'm just in the basic.
Look, man, it is what it is. You are where you are. Fuck it. It doesn't mean anything. But I was on a plane recently, and I had just pitched to somebody, one of the big networks, and then it's like 6 a.m, and one of those people walked up, hey, and then we had to part ways when they were boarding because they were going in a nice hot first class.
Oh yeah,
and they were like, let's go, and I go, I can't. See you later.
I feel like every time I travel for WWE, I find one of my WWE coworkers, and he's like, "Hey, you want to board with me? Because I'm in first class." And I go, "Yeah." And then, of course, he gets to his seat, and I go, "All right,
see ya.
See you later.
See you. I gotta go back
half a mile to walk down the plane.
I gotta go to my life.
Yeah.
See you later.
See you later.
See ya. You're Paulie and Rocky. What about me?
We are back with more Best Of Jim Norton and Sam Roberts.
Jim Norton and Sam Roberts. Welcome, Jeannie Gaffigan coming in studio.
How are you?
Hey, Jeannie, just so you know, it's obviously Bobby and myself and Sam on the mod. He's in Florida, so he'll be
Sam.
piping in too.
Hey, how are you, Jeannie?
How are you?
Good.
How you feeling?
I'm doing great.
Why is there music playing?
I don't hear anything, actually. Am I on?
Oh, I'll get you.
Bob's there to produce the show.
Yeah, no, it's on, but I heard music playing in my ear. I'm like,
I heard the music too.
From where?
I believe that was coming from your end.
Yeah, Jim, I was fading you out from the break there.
Who cares?
I was just curious.
It did sound weird. It sounded weird to me too.
We have a
Jim.
guest right here. That's just why are you so curious?
Because I like to know why there's music in my ear when I wasn't expecting any. It was
there was an odd guitar solo.
There was, right? For no reason. I was saying hello to
yeah.
Jeannie, and all of a sudden there's music playing, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
It sounded like it turned off and then it turned back on for some reason. Very
somebody's
strange.
big clumsy elbows hit it in the other room.
I believe that's true. They're trying to make you look like a fool.
They are, but thank you for defending me from Florida. All right, well, Well, how you doing?
Good. I just want to go on the record. The music was not my fault. I had nothing to do with it.
No, it was not your fault.
I was not playing the guitar in the corner or anything like that. So
it was not you. No. We didn't get your book in advance. A lot of time it's called "When Life Gives You Pairs: The Healing Power of Family, Faith, and Funny People." We did not get a copy of it, so I'm a little ill prepared because we always like to get a book in advance, but they didn't give us any.
I apologize on behalf of my fabulous team. But anyway, I brought you one, and I also brought you some stress pears too. Whenever you feel stressed out, you can squeeze the pear.
I squeeze these when I have my ears lasered. I get these. They let me squeeze these type of things.
What the fuck do you have your ears lasered?
I was just going to say, what does that mean?
Oh, that was a present. Ask my wife. It was a present from her for Christmas.
To herself, so she doesn't have to look at it.
Apparently, my ears were so hairy, she was sick of plucking them. Yeah, that's what my wife got me for Christmas present.
Is that what being married is? Is that what you both, you're married?
It's all about hair removal. Yeah, at a certain point, it becomes about, making sure the hair is in the right place.
Well, yesterday, my what is it called when you get the coupon?
It's Groupon?
Being an old lady?
No. My Groupon was up, and she goes, "Can you ask her if I can have the same Groupon rate for my mustache?" I went, "What?"
Oh my God, these aren't conversations you want to have with your mates.
Oh, your wife said that?
Yeah, I was like, "What?" She goes, "Don't worry about it. Just ask her." I was like, "Okay."
How long have you and Jim been married?
16 years.
And you met him. Were you doing stand up? I know you're a really good writer. Were you doing stand up or no?
I was doing sketch comedy, and I did kind of a storytelling type of stand up, like in some of the alt rooms. Like that was more of my style. And Jim is more of like the actual like pure stand up. So when we started, writing together, I wasn't writing jokes for him at all. I remember really clearly one time we were dating, and I was doing theater and he was doing stand up, and I remember him coming into my apartment with a CD, and this is like dating us, right? This is like back in like 2000, and he was like, Rich Voss produced his own CD. He came out with his own CD. So this is how long ago it was. And he's like, I would love to do this myself. Do you know anything about putting together a CD?
Something?
Yeah.
Henny Youngman did the same thing with a record. He went home to his wife and went, Rich Voss came out with a record. he produced his own record.
By the way, do you know how great it is? Because Gaffigan is so big, and Voss inspired him to do his first CD.
And
I just love that Voss is still in the exact same position that he was in when he inspired Jim Gaffigan.
Look, I'm just saying this is how it happened. This is the root, the history root of how I started working with Jim. Because when you guys know, when people are saying, "Hey, I got a joke for you," you're like, shut up and leave me alone. Like I already thought of that 10 years ago and moved on from that joke. Yeah. So it's a very it's a very autonomous art. Like you are the boss and you have your point of view, and occasionally someone who's very close to you might be able to like tag your joke or whatever. But it's not really something that at least Jim was like open to writing, and I wasn't like trying to write for him. So he came home and said, Rich Voss is doing this and he's selling them at his shows. It's amazing. And I don't know, I'm busy. Can you figure out how to do this? And I was like, sure. And so I started going to, all his sets with him when he would run the same set. And I started like putting it together on, very archaic, sound equipment and, I had a little...
Oh, you were taping it?
Yeah, I was going to each club and with a microphone and taping a set. And then I was saying, okay, you did a great, set on the Manatee or whatever it was at Gotham. But when you did it the next time, it kind of sounded like it was more rehearsed. Like I started giving him notes on the CD to make a good CD.
Yeah.
And he kind of responded to how tuned in to his voice I was. Yeah. And, kind of respected me for that. And so when I was putting it together, it was like we gained this like mutual trust. Yeah. And then every once in a while I would say something like, the next phase of this joke might be this, or instead of saying this, it might be, you might be able to do it on TV if you say it this way.
So it was a slow build from kind of a producing and structuring and getting audio quality to go, this might work. It was a very slow thing that was not like, hey, you ought to tag that joke with it. It kind of built up.
Exactly. And it was like the first time I ever I mean, I was making an observation in my voice. I mean, my own joke about something that was happening in the world, and Jim thought it was funny. And I remember being really happy because he was very much like, that's not funny. He's, Jim.
Yeah.
And so I remember him thinking I was funny and feeling like really good. Like, oh, wow, he thinks I'm funny because he was an amazing stand-up at the time, even though he was just doing improvs. He wasn't doing theaters or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it was like, he had so much talent, and I recognized that. And so, but he didn't think that my sketch writing was that good. So anyway, the point is that he called me from LA. He was in LA, and it was back when The Late Show was hosted by Craig Kilborn back in the day.
Wow, yeah.
And he called me, he was doing that show, and I was in New York, and he said, listen, he's like, do you mind if I do that joke on Craig Kilborn? And I'm like, I would love that, And so later on, he didn't call me or anything. I wasn't at the taping, but I was really curious about him, like if my joke bombed on TV. So he called me, and I was like, how'd it go? He's like, great. And I was like, well, how did my joke, did you do my joke? And he's like, yeah. Didn't say anything. And I said, well, how did my joke do? And he's like, it killed. And he sounded like kind of disappointed that it killed, because it was like, he was like kind of curious that that I contributed to his act, and he, and he did the joke, and I felt like really good as if I had done the joke. And I was like, that was kind of like the beginning of me feeling comfortable with, kind of pitching.
And you weren't
here.
territorial. Like I'm weird when I write for other people. I get very territorial about material. Like I hate to give it away, but you didn't mind doing that. I guess you were dating him.
I wasn't doing stand up, so I wasn't going to do the joke.
And Jim was
unless it was like at my apartment.
Jim was a beast though back then. I mean, I did Villanova with him, I believe, one time, and when he went out and he murdered, they was standing up like it was a basketball game. And they just won. I mean, they flipped out. I went out and killed, and then he went out and did something else.
Yep.
And murdered, and he was clean. And then at the end, he got this massive standing ovation. I mean, he was even back then when we used to do the Boston, he was just a murderer on stage.
I was around
Jeannie,
then.
Were you doing just writing for sketch, or were you performing sketch?
I was performing.
So did you have to kind of make a transition in your head to go like, oh, okay, I thought I was going to more focus on being a performer, but I'm obviously going to be a person who's behind the scenes here?
Well, I kind of describe this as, it's very female way to describe it, but it's like, for me, it's like a wedding dress. You always have this vision of what wedding dress you're going to wear. And when you're a little girl, you're like, I'm going to look like Cinderella at my wedding. And then when it actually comes down to your wedding, you put the Cinderella dress on and you're like, that looks really shitty on me. And then you put on this dress that you never would have thought of, and you're like, this is my dress. Like, this is what I want to have the pictures that my grandkids are going to look at, right? And so that's how I kind of view what happened in my own career. I don't feel like I was steamrolled by Jim, although I do think that I put off marrying Jim for 2 years, when I should have married him 2 years earlier than I did, because I knew I wanted to be with him, but I was so afraid of getting steamrolled by Jim because I had my own thing going on.
You didn't want to. You wanted to be you, and you don't want to be Jim's wife. You wanted to be Jeannie, own person.
And I was very I'm the oldest of 9 kids. I'm kind of bossy. I like to run things. And I just felt like Jim was on a level. And first of all, his career was starting to really take off. He was, he had just, the year I met him was his first Letterman appearance. And after that, he started to get a lot of attention. And now I know historically that he felt that he was kind of wallowing in obscurity before that, even though I thought of him as very advanced in his career. He, there are people like Geraldo at the time. I mean, with this, I go back in his history pretty far, and I've known you, Jim, for years. And I think I was at Villanova at that performance backstage.
Were you?
Yeah. And that was in the early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there. I was at Villanova.
Yeah.
And so essentially, he kind of felt like everyone else was getting Letterman, and everyone else was getting these sitcom deals, and he was too vanilla or something, and he was trying different personas. So if you see some of Jim's early stand-up, I mean, he did a whole phase where he was Dice Clay. He was like smoking on stage, and he was trying out different.
I remember him when he was doing stuff like, "There's a piece of wood, I want to lick it." He was a very, very strange. That might even be early, like mid '90s or late '90s.
Something about goats, didn't he? Something?
Yeah.
Donkeys.
Yeah.
By the way, Jeannie, because I did an episode of his show, which I hated when you guys stopped doing that, and I know that was your decision. You were a real creative part of that.
Was that because it was the only show that would let you on?
That would be a part of the motivation, yes, and why I was upset. I was more upset than they were that they stopped doing it because they put me on it. But you were like, I watched you when you were doing that. And you were a creative partner in that. It wasn't like, oh, here she is, just like you were literally making decisions and making good decisions. And I remember being really impressed, going like, this is obviously something they do together, and it's something that you are a huge part of creatively.
Well, I think that the Jim Gaffigan show was kind of the first time that people got it with me, because I think that when you hear like, oh, Jim's wife is going to be there, it's like, oh, well, she's just kind of along to like be like, yay, honey, you're doing great. But we always had kind of like a partnership, because either I was producing something of my own and he was doing his tour. And then it became really obvious that we were both really hard workers. And if we wanted to like make a relationship work, we had to work on something together. So at a certain point, when I started kind of getting like a kick out of being in this behind the scenes position and producing and writing and feeling creative fulfillment from doing that, rather than just being out on stage and doing my own thing and producing my own thing. I also realized that if I was going to be able to be creatively fulfilled like this, I could actually have babies and I could actually do things without because if I was going on the road and he was going on the road, I don't know if we'd, have worked out, because it's a very hard life.
You have 5 kids, right?
We have 5 kids. Yeah.
Did you know it would be 5 in the beginning?
No, I didn't. But, you have to understand, I'm from 9 kids. So 5 is kind of small.
So it's not a big deal.
It's not a big, it is now, because I had, brain surgery and, it's very challenging. But there's something about the, I produce kids too. You know what I mean? It's like there's something really about my personality. Like I'm somebody who likes to do a lot. And I feel really fulfilled by having like a full busy life. And so I think that after, and what this book, When Life Gives You Pears, is about, is that getting so caught up in how busy we all were. And I know I'm kind of jumping out of the history of Jim and I working together. But one of the things that I've learned on the other side of after, facing my own mortality is that filling up your, I'll always be this person. I'll always be filling up my life with different projects and things and kids and being so involved with life. But it's kind of like cutting out the unnecessary things that are just not meaningful and focusing my life more on meaning.
What seemed meaningless? Like when you all of a sudden you find out like I might die, I have a brain tumor, what all of a sudden goes like, oh Jesus, what was I worried about that crap for? Like what was something that you're like, oh.
Well, like pretty much everything, but let me put it this way. I still sweat the small stuff. I still get irritated. I still, with small things. But like one of the things that changed is all right, for example, the show. You're talking about the show. Okay, I did understand that I was not going to be able to maintain executive producing a TV show on that type of schedule and writing the episodes, directing episodes, and having 5 kids that are going to see their mom ever. So I understood that I needed to let go of that. And when I talked to Jim about him getting a different showrunner, because I can protect, it was our story, right? It was like the story. The reason why we were here is because Jim was playing himself on your show, and it was part of the story. And so we used a lot of New York locations. It was very hard to shoot in New York. We used real comedians, real New York actors, and it was not like we were like, okay, when it's convenient for us, we're going to shoot the scene. It was like, if you want to shoot at Katz's Deli, you have to get up at 4 a.m. before their lunch and wrap. Like it was a very difficult schedule. And so when I proposed this to Jim, he was like, I don't know of anyone else who can protect our story as well as you can, because it's like, who else is going to be as invested in protecting the integrity of like Jim's voice? He's been burned before in, doing shows that he pitches, and then it comes back from the writer's room and it's not his show anymore.
And the producer will protect the writers and not what it is you guys want, and she'll worry about what the network wants as opposed to what you and him would want.
Exactly. So it was like, look, if you're going to step down, then I'm going to step down. It was a mutual decision. We had to call the network before we were renewed and have a conversation about it. And it wasn't like, and we weren't a cheap show, and it wasn't like they were like, please stay. It was like, okay, let's figure out how we can present the optics of this, because it's like, we can end this on a high note. Everyone loves the show.
2 years you did, right?
We did 2 seasons, yeah, but right before season 3, and this ironically is right before I got diagnosed with the brain tumor. Wow. We made this decision, and to answer your original question of what kind of things was I filling my life with, I went from working on the show. I would move my office home, and we started working on Cinco, which was the 5th comedy special that we were doing for Netflix. And so life was full again. So we got super busy again. So I had more quantity of time with my children. I saw them more, but I wasn't doing quality time with them. I was really like, okay, great, you got to school, house is clean, here's food, okay, I'm working. And it was like I went from being like the executive producer of the show to the executive producer of my home. And nothing really changed for me. And so then we got done with Cinco. We got it on Netflix. And at that point, as you know, when you produce a special, you have 0 material and you got to start over and start writing again. And so I was like, okay, great. We have this like time now to take a breather. And Jim was like, okay, I booked a theater for September, like of the same year. It was like February. And I was like, right, but to do another special. And I said, but we don't have any material. And he said, that's what's going to be so challenging about it. It's like, we're going to write an hour before the date of that theater. Like it went on sale.
See, why do new stuff? Wow. After a special, I just like to I just reverse the order. Like I just open with my closing and then I close with the opening, and the crowd's stupid. They don't even notice.
This is what I'm saying. I'm like, can't we like have, but yet I want, he's my husband, and he's like, obviously he knows what he's doing. Okay. So I'm like, every time I fight him, he turns out to be right when it comes to like career marketing. He's very brilliant about this kind of thing. So I was like, okay, here we go on the ride again. And then he said, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a documentary film about what it's like to have 0 material, have a date on the calendar. And it was a pretty brilliant idea that we were going to make this documentary film that was going to be like released with the it's so smart.
Well, there's usually not a deadline with material like that. That's a deadline with, you got jokes and you got a theater, and now there's a deadline on it. So there's a goal for a documentary.
So I argued with it, and I was just like, this is insane. Like, you're crazy, but okay, right? So I filled up my life like in an incredible way. Like, it was super full. I was writing like a funny mom book on the side. Like, we wrote 2 books, Dad is Fat and Food, a Love Story, that are all Jim's point of view, being a father of 5 kids, and being like, also like having the mentality of a bachelor, like a single guy, having like a wife like me and 5 kids. Like it's a funny book. And then about food all over the country and on tour and what kind of food he likes. And that's kind of, he was like, made a lot of money making observations about food, right?
What a great life he has, by the way. Jim can just eat whatever he wants, and it's just part of his act.
Do you guys want to manage me?
Okay, so essentially, I was working with a book agent for a long time, and so he was saying, Jeannie, why don't you write the mom book, on the side? Like, it's like I was writing a book, doing all this stuff, having 5 kids, and all these things, and suddenly I started not being able to hear out of one of my ears, and I kind of ignored it. Because
for how long?
For months, because I mean, let me just paint a quick picture about like what my life was like. I was busy, like probably, I'd say 15 hours a day. You guys probably can relate to this on in high times of production, but all the time. So like, for example, the last episode of the Jim Gaffigan show, which I wrote and directed, had 52 scenes in it because I'm insane. And it was on location, and it was a period piece. So it was about when Jim was a kid in the 70s. So it was a very complicated piece with lots of locations, a beach, and it was crazy. And the day of the first day of shooting, I was leaving my home in the morning at 6:00 in the morning, and I was leaving my kids sleeping, and someone was coming in to take them to school, and I wasn't going to see them that night. And there was something weird that was going on in my heart. Like, I'm not seeing my kids, and I'm not going to see them for a week because I'm so committed to making this a great show. And I saw right before the car was outside waiting to pick me up, and I saw that there was a light bulb out in my foyer. And I was like, I've got to change that light bulb before I go. I have to change that light bulb because it's something that I can do for my family. It was just this weird, I'm sharing a very intimate moment that was inside. Yeah. And I went to the closet, got the light bulb, got up on a stepladder, reached up, fell off the ladder, and sprained my foot. The car's outside. I have a week of brutal shooting, and I just hobbled out to the car, got in the car, and when I got to set, I told a PA, I'm like, go into the props truck, find crutches or something.
Wow.
And I didn't even think about going to the urgent care, just because I was like, I can deal with that pain.
Well, do you fall because it's just the thing that people do sometimes, or because it have something to do with what was wrong?
Well, now I know. Now I know that it's all the symptoms that I was having, I was compartmentalizing away. I wasn't drinking enough water. I had allergy headaches. I was clumsy, and it was only the really kind of drastic side effect that I had was the symptom I had was the hearing loss. That was all of a sudden I just stopped hearing in one ear. And even then, I didn't rush to the doctor. So had I been still shooting the show, I never would have even gone to the doctor. And the reason why I was even at the doctor was because I was bringing my kids in for a well check. When you have kids, once a year you have to get all their shots and their, it's like if you have a pet, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So you can't get back into school or camp or anything. You need to get all these forms filled out. So
do you bring them all in at the same time since you have an army?
Yes, I bring them. I wait till I have 5. There's 5 appointments in a row. I bring them all.
I do. I have one kid, and I'm stressed out. I couldn't imagine. 5.
But see, this is the thing. When you adapt, so it's instead of having 5, you can't imagine having 5 different doctor's appointments. But if you make one, it's one trip. Do you understand? I made this work. I brought all the forms in folders with Post-it notes, all the kids, 5 appointments in a row, brought them all into the room. So at this point, I'm dealing with the pediatrician, dealing with my kids, and she notices that I'm leaning towards her with one ear. And she's like, what's wrong with your ear? And I'm like, oh, I can't hear out of it. And she's like, yeah, that's not good. What do you mean you can't hear out of it? I'm like, she's like, when did that start? I'm like, I don't know, a few months ago. She looks at my ear and she's like, it looks fine to me. I mean, if you literally can't hear out of your ear, you need to go see an ENT. And I'm like, oh, another appointment. I'm busy. And she's like, you have to go check. So what good are you to your kids if you are sick and you're just ignoring it? And she kind of looked me in the eye. And a lot of doctors they just,
don't care.
They don't care. And I attribute it to her being from Canada. She has a very, home visit type, demeanor about her. And so eventually, I chronicle every detail of this in the book because there's a lot of funny things that happen along the way. I mean, it's kind of a funny look at myself. And, eventually it took me to getting an MRI because they couldn't figure out what was wrong with my ear. And that's when they discovered that I had a massive brain tumor.
How do they tell you? When you get an MRI and they find a brain tumor, does the doctor come in somber? Does he go good news, bad news? How do they tell you that?
They don't. The radiologist cannot tell you anything. So unless your doctor is at the radiology center, which is very rare. It's usually you're prescribed, why don't you go get an MRI? And then you go back in 2 weeks and your doctor reads you the results. Right. So when I went to this, the guy who was the technician was actually a really funny, a naturally funny person. And he was trying to make me comfortable. And I was like one of the youngest people there. I was obviously in good health. It was something that was like a rule out MRI. They were ruling out they had a neuroma, a small like tumor on the inside of my ear canal that might have been blocking. And it was a rule out. It was very, I was very high functioning. He was very funny. And I tell this whole story in the book about how I go into the MRI. And if you've ever had an MRI, it's just insane. It's like a coffin and you go, and it's loud. And it's like, I was in there like, writing material. I was like, this is like material in here. And when I came out to the radiologist, I saw it on his face.
Oh boy.
And I was like,
that there was something.
There was something, but he couldn't tell me.
Sure.
So he told me to go wait in the waiting room. My doctor would call me, but I knew my doctor wasn't supposed to call me. So that was the first clue that like my doctor would call me in the waiting room. My doctor's not here. So
he was funny when you went in. He was really funny,
like,
and then he just shut it down.
Like I had, when you get an MRI with contrast, there's an IV involved. So you get an IV, so you get pictures, and then they inject this dye in you, and then they take more pictures that it like lights up different blood vessels or something. And so when he was putting the IV in, he was like, you can leave it on the weekend and put a margarita in there. Like, he was really funny. He was making me relaxed, and he was like, don't worry. It's like, I hope you're not claustrophobic. And, I was funny with him. And, when I came out, he was not funny.
And maybe you should just be neutral.
Right, so you don't give it away.
I think he was shocked. Right. It's like, I don't want to get anyone like in trouble and fired.
Well, the doctor called you in the waiting room?
No, there was no doctor. Like, that's the whole thing. They said he was going to call me, and I'm like, my doctor, it doesn't work here. Like, that's not true.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, and I called Jim, and Jim didn't even know I was getting an MRI because I just never, it wasn't that insignificant. Like, I don't tell Jim everything I'm doing. I'm not like, I'm going to CVS now and getting.
You're doing 9 million things.
Yeah. And I just was like, I got an MRI, and they won't let me leave. I don't know what's going on. And he was like, do you want me to come there? And I knew how busy he was. So I was like, it was amazing that he was like, I didn't know you were getting an MRI. And then I said, you know what? No, I'm leaving. So I went up there and I said, listen, where does it say in any paperwork that I'm supposed to sit here all day when I have no doctor here? Like, what am I here for? And then they couldn't answer that. So I left. So in about 2 hours, my ENT, this is an ear, nose, and throat specialist, called me and said, hey, I'm looking at your report here. It appears you have a mass in your brain, and it's no longer in my kind of jurisdiction. Like, I'm not like qualified now to tell you anything more. So here are some phone numbers of some neurosurgeons.
Wow.
That you can see, and they can tell you more about it. And I was like, what? What do you mean I have a mass in my brain? I'm like, what about my ear? He's like, it's probably why you can't hear out of your ear, but it's a mass in your brain, and I'm looking at your report. And he was just kind of like not telling, because he can't like make a diagnosis now.
Because it's all lawsuits, they're all afraid he'll tell you the wrong thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to talk to a neurosurgeon, and they obviously tell you like this is what it is. Do they tell you that if you don't get it fixed, you're going to die, or it's going to affect your quality? You're going to lose motor functions.
Did you have to go were they like, you have to go right now to get this taken care of?
Well, I mean, eventually, but there was a long series of calls and people asking for reports back. I was caught in some wheel of like, limbo where they were like, call this guy, call that guy. You have to go back and get your scan and all this stuff. And
are you terrified at this point, or are you just kind of going through the motions?
I'm terrified, but it's motivating me to fight. Like, that's what it was. I was like, what is going on? What do you mean I have a mass in my brain? And then when I called the neurosurgeons, they had like a point. They were like, are you a new patient? I'm like, no, I'm just randomly calling a neurosurgeon to make an appointment. Like, how many people are trying to like make fake appointments with neurosurgeons? And so they gave me a appointment in like a month. And I was like, I can't sit on this for a month. So I just started thinking, first of all, I called every like prayer warrior I know, like nuns, like priests, my aunt. Like, I was just like, I just need some like people to like pray to God that I'm not like, I don't have like brain cancer, because I can't cope with that news right now. I have all these kids. I have all this stuff going on. I don't.
And they knew nothing. You didn't say anything to the kids, right?
Nothing. No, or my parents. Because I'm like, I'm not calling my parents.
Just your husband, just Jim.
Just Jim, and these people who are like, I am like a Shiite Catholic, as my husband describes me. So I like believe in a higher power. So I'm like, somebody else deal with a higher power, and I'm going to figure out what's going on. So then I remember that my childhood friend in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, is a neurologist. So I call him and I'm like, listen, if I get you this report, can you make sense of it? And he was like, oh, I can try. He's like, I'll see what's going on. So I get the report. It takes me like 3 hours to get my own report. I get the report. I send it to him. He's like, I need to see the scan. This is not making a lot of sense because what size they're saying that this mass is and where the location is doesn't make any sense to me. So we go to the radiology center, we have to buy copies of the scan. Jim goes to FedEx, sends it to Milwaukee, and we just kind of like, all right, let's just go on with our life and order a pizza for the kids because I didn't do any, cooking. I was like, my life was like completely derailed. So the next morning, Dr. John Broderick, my friend from childhood, texts me a picture and says, you need to get the OR today. So that's where he shows me a picture of my brain. It's the pictures in the book. My skull with a massive pear. It looked like an inverted pear in my skull, right lodged in the area between where my brain is and where my body is. So in the brain stem.
My God.
And he's like, this has to, this can't be. You need a plan. And I was like, I don't have a plan. I don't have a doctor. I don't have a neurologist. I have an appointment in a month. He's like, a month? He's like, if you were my patient, you'd be being wheeled into the OR right now. And I said, I don't know what to do. What do I do? I can't even get in an appointment. And he said, this is what you do. Google the top neurosurgery department in New York City and take this scan and go to the ER at that hospital and give them the scan. And they're not going to know what to do with you. And they're going to get you a neurosurgeon that day. Today. Get in the cab.
Wow.
And so it was the best feeling I ever had in my life.
Because you were doing something.
I was doing something. And Jim and I got in a cab, grabbed my bag. I started calling babysitters, pick up my kids, cause they were at school. And, there's a very suspenseful, kind of trajectory to this beginning of this story where I'm in a cab on the FDR going to Mount Sinai. I live downtown, and phone calls, me calling trying to tell my ENT that I'm not going to make the appointments at the other hospital in the month because I'm going to ER. Him calling someone he knew at Mount Sinai, them calling the person who was in Florida, them calling Mount Sinai. No one even knew. It was just a huge, crazy turn of events that all of a sudden I get a call. I'm 3 blocks away from Mount Sinai. I get a call from a physician's assistant at Mount Sinai who says, hi, is this, she didn't even pronounce it. She's like, Jeannie Noth Griffin? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, do you have some issue that you need to come to Mount Sinai for? I got a phone call. And I'm just like, yes. And she's like, well, where do you live? And I said, well, I live downtown, but I'm 3 blocks away from the ER. She's like, oh, the chief of neurosurgery just got delayed from his surgery, and he's in his office for the next 45 minutes. Come on up to the 8th floor. So I walked into the head of neurosurgery with my scan, a monitor this big, like these monitors in here. He put it in. My brain, it was up there. The tumor was right in my face, and I saw it. And he was like, "Yeah, this is a problem. I would say that this is rather an emergency." And I would say, "Come back tomorrow, and we're going to start dealing with this."
By the way, how long between that moment, and the moment that you decided, to celebrate, I should have pear-shaped stress balls?
About 2 years now.
Okay, yeah.
But
how is Jim handling all this?
So meanwhile, Jim is in complete shock because, I don't need to name names, but he had a colleague, a friend who abruptly lost his wife, around right before this happened. And he kind of went there, right? Because it wasn't just because the surgery and the removal of this tumor was just the beginning, because I was a wildly successful surgery. When I went into that appointment, he showed me where all my nerves were in that tumor. So the facial nerve, especially, you know how when people have a stroke and their face is paralyzed, the face was going to be a casualty. The hearing already gone. There was, it's where you walk, talk, speak, swallow, the cranial nerves are like everything. It's like what makes you like live in a lot of ways. So even though I had confidence that I was going to live through it, I didn't know what I was going to be on the other side. So Jim had to face the fact that he was going to be, as he puts it, a really bad single father of 5 kids. And probably, quit stand up because it's
right.
It's like it doesn't make sense to, unless you have like a show in one city that you can go to and get a babysitter. His lifestyle is only possible because I'm in it.
Were you when they do brain? Because I know when Ted Kennedy got his brain operated on, he was awake through a lot of it or through all of it because they have to test. Hey, raise your right arm or say this because your brain has no pain sensor, I think, in it. So were you awake or were you out for it?
What they do now is like my OR looked like the inside of like a high-tech spaceship. There were monitors everywhere with like doctors at the stations. And what they do now is that when the instrument touches that nerve, they monitor the nerve. So you don't need to be awake.
Okay.
So it's like if I start twitching, they know that they have to back off. So it was like a 10-hour surgery where they slowly extricated this massive tumor from my brain.
That's the biggest, because having a wife and then having a kid, being a comic, it's so much easier to be single. And then when you decide to get married, it's such a hard thing to go, okay, I'm not going to be married to comedy anymore. I'm going to be married to a human being. And then when you decide to have a kid, it's another level of, because now I cut a tree down in my backyard because every night I was like, that tree's going to fall in my kid's bedroom. I had to hire somebody to cut this tree down because I couldn't sleep at night because I kept envisioning this tree smashing, me running in, holding the tree up with my back and telling Mac it was a nightmare because that's all you fear is that something happens to these people in your life now. And when I saw the thing you did on the news the other day with Jim, the interview that he did, and then I remember you like the thing that struck me is like you're going into surgery going, I got to tell him the passwords.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting, I literally went to my wife right after I saw that. I'm like, listen, write down. I know nothing.
Yeah.
That's my worst nightmare is that I'm going into surgery and someone wants my passwords. No.
I was like, I feel like I had kind of allowed this to happen in a lot of ways because I was always like, Jim is like, he's living the life of a traveling road comic, right? Yeah. So he doesn't know anything. Like he didn't know the teachers' names.
I don't.
I handled everything. Yeah. And when this happened, I was like, I set this up. So, but I did it because we needed to like move forward and we decided to have 5 kids.
Team.
So
You're a team.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, it was a little bit off balance. Like we didn't like, and so there was this like what I called the Freaky Friday situation where we switched roles, where like I was lying in bed all day and he was doing all the work. But no, I'm kidding. He doesn't lie in bed all day. But but basically, like he did step up to the plate because he was like you would too. It's like it's not like he was gonna be like see ya.
But that's the biggest fear is, and it came true with you guys.
Yeah.
Is that you're constantly doing stuff. Everything is happening. Your dreams, no matter how big or how small, they're happening. Everything is great. You have this kid and you're having these moments in life, and then that one thing can take it out.
Yeah.
And put all that in jeopardy. And it's like then you have to deal with that. And you guys,
yeah, like everything is set up so perfectly so that everything can get done. You have your role, she has her role, and I'm talking about Bob and his wife, obviously, because I have a similar situation with my wife. And you're right, Bob, that this one uncontrollable thing can just happen out of the blue, and all of a sudden, everything's out of whack, and now you can't do anything.
It's coming. I mean, it's coming for everybody. Like everything comes to an end, but it's like we're in the midst of this. And then when I was watching your thing, it's like I saw all these, I watch you guys. I follow Jim, and I like following his, all the stuff you guys, all the places you go and stuff like that. And then to have this happen, and then you have to go take care of this, and to watch you guys come out the other side of this after the operation. And then the things that happened, there's something happened in the operation too, though. It wasn't a full success. It wasn't like everything came out.
operation was a major success. It was like really couldn't have been better. I mean, look at me. I'm not paralyzed. It's amazing. Yeah. But afterwards, because my speech and swallow was all messed up, so I breathed in instead of swallowing. So that night after the surgery, I inhaled my own like fluids, my saliva, and I got a double lung strep pneumonia, and that was when things started to go really downhill for me. Right. And I had the breathing tube and the feeding tube, and I was in a state of life and death jeopardy. So that's when the whole thing happened with Jim, like having to cancel shows, and my family came in. It was a lot of juggling and but it was a lot of growth. Yeah. And so getting through this, granted, I am very well aware there are a lot of people that were in that ICU that never made it out of that ICU. I am very grateful, and I'm not taking anything for granted. And but on the other side of it, the reason why I felt compelled to share my story and to write a book is because I had no idea what I was doing before this happened, and I don't want to live like anything happened, but you know what? Anything can happen. And you, Jim, people just like all of a sudden die. We all have these friends that, all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, I just got a cancer diagnosis. And like, I'm not saying live your life expecting that to happen, but kind of live your life expecting that to happen. Mm-hmm. Because if you've set yourself up for basically filling every bit of your bucket. So it's like one more thing is going to break the camel's back, It's like, oh, wow, I mixed metaphors. That was really bad. Anyway, it's early.
We're all just nodding our heads like, yeah, no.
None of us noticed, though. None of us know what the metaphor should have been.
All right, anyway, I could have just, it was like.
Straw and buckets and something. Right. I don't know.
Anyway, you get it, right? It's like
Well, what was it like for you who had crafted this life where, like you said, you're the executive producer of your house, like you're the center of your life, but all these people are around you and relying on you, and that's kind of the way it's set up because that's the way everybody's most comfortable. When you look around and you go, oh my God, there's a very real possibility that this existence is going to keep going on without me.
And it was really difficult for me because I realized that although I think that some of us, and I think a lot of wives of comedians can relate to this, is that you get something that's a little bit of like a martyr syndrome, where you're like saying, oh, no, I'll do it. You go ahead. I'll take care of everything. But you kind of get a kick out of it. Like you kind of, like I was kind of feeding my ego, being like, okay, I take care of Jim, and he doesn't need to know that. He doesn't know the teachers' names, like, oh, Jim, he's, just so selfish and whatever. And there's kind of like a kick out of it, being like, oh, I'm running everything. And it's like an ego thing, right? So when I was faced with not being able to do anything, I had to face my addiction to control.
Being the boss.
And also like feel the pain and the withdrawal of not being able to do it. And seeing that like everything could fall apart. But that's not what happened. What happened is that Jim like grew as a father, and my kids grew as individuals without like micromanagement mom, like, judging and controlling their every move and being like, oh, well, your room has to look like this and your homework has to look like this. And you know what? They were fine. They grew.
So it kind of when you realize out in a weird way
that the work that you've been doing has been effective, like the people that you've been raising, like you're like, oh, when they're left to their own devices, all these lessons that I've been teaching, like it all did take effect because everybody's stepping up, everybody's rising to the occasion.
Yes, but on the other side of this, I cannot continue to run the craziness that I did. I can't not do anything. Like I can't be like, we're all moving to a farm in Utah and having no shoes on all the time. Right. But I don't know. They probably wear shoes in Utah. That kind of just came out. It's early. Okay, no, I'm not a good writer.
They just marry a bunch of women.
You guys in the thing you shot the other day, you guys were still funny. I remember your feeding tube. You guys are cracking jokes as he's filling a feeding tube that you had to eat this orange stuff that you had to eat.
Oh.
But it makes me laugh because that's why I love comics. That's why I love comedians, because even when that's happening, you can have that moment to be deadly serious and everybody's cool with it. You guys are cracking jokes at the sink with a feeding tube attached to your neck. I thought it was
all
hilarious.
Jim, because I was bummed out and depressed, and I was disgusted and embarrassed, and I had a feeding tube out of my stomach, and I was like, this is horrible. And Jim was like, let's put it on YouTube. It's gonna be a cooking show, and I was kind of like, oh, okay. But now I'm like, funny people make you heal.
Yes.
And that's why my subtitle is the Faith, Family, and Funny People, because I was like, God help me, family help me, and funny people help me. And the people, even when Jim was at his most stressed out and he was not funny, when I was in the ICU, the people who came to visit me were funny because we've surrounded ourselves. We're so blessed to have people who are, funny people. Because you know what it's like when you get stuck in a situation with a bunch of unfunny people. You're like, oh, thank God I know all these funny people. Yeah. They're interesting. They're funny. They feed my brain. Yeah. And that's the same way when you're sick. Like, I feel like it should be like a ministry for funny people to go visit sick people in the hospital. Because when people go to visit people in the hospital, they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Can I come in? Can I?" And it's like. Yeah. It's like, are you sick? Like, I need joy.
I remember when Keith had his stroke, we went up to visit him, and we were waiting for a long time in the visiting area, and then he came out in a wheelchair, and his hands were all curled up, and his face was going, and we were like, oh no, because we didn't know it was that bad, and he goes, I'm just joking. We were like, what? What? Now you're joking? You had a stroke 2 days ago. And he goes, I'm fine, I'm all right.
We'll be back with more Best of Jim Norton and Sam Roberts. This is what happened on the last Jim Norton and Sam Roberts show.
Have you ever thought of expanding on your name by having something like Steve Aoki karaoke bars?
Oh my God.
Aoki karaoke.
That's good suggestion, Dennis.
That's the way to end it, Denny, after a good touching story about...
How long have you been doing radio?
What's that, 30 years?
Nice.
Jim Norton and Sam Roberts. Live.
Kevin Smith is here.
Oh, good. Oh, my God. Kevin, so good to see you.
Welcome, Kevin.
Excellent.
You little thing, you. Look at you. You look great.
Is this the way to go?
It is, yeah. Or you can say whatever you're... We were talking about weight loss, and the first thing I'm going to ask is, how much better is it now? Isn't it great just to go clothes shopping and not obsess that you're not going to be able to get a shirt or a pair of pants that you want?
But you got to remember, I was like, I was always secure with the wardrobe because I had all the hockey jerseys. As long as there was a 4XL, 6XL hockey jersey out there, I was always.
You also literally started your own clothing line, so you could wear whatever you wanted.
I wore it too, so I could wear the hockey jersey. I always figured was like a fat guy's muumuu. You could hide 25 pounds of weight gain or loss underneath without people necessarily catching on right away. And it was also just an all-purpose go-to. But then when I lost the weight, I shrunk the hockey jerseys, but for some reason, I thought I looked stupid. I probably looked stupid the whole time, but for me, I was like, this looks dumb now. So I reverted back to, I was wearing jackets in 97 before I gained weight.
Do you like how, because whenever you lose weight, any person that loses weight, all of a sudden you lose so much, they're like, whoa, you looked better when you were, I think you look really good now, though.
You're adorable. Thank you. I feel pretty good, but I've encountered a lot of that. No, you know what? That's unfair. Online, nothing but support. Yeah. But small pocket, very small pocket, 2%. Every once in a while, people tweet like, you don't look good, bro. You look sick.
Yeah.
What's the matter? You got the cancer? And I'm like, no, I got the vegan.
I lost weight.
Yeah. This is me healthy. This is me at my best.
That's the thing. Like when somebody's like, you don't look healthy, dude. I'm like, well, I was unhealthy when I had the heart attack.
Yeah.
Right.
That was unhealthy. This relatively
But you know
healthy.
what? When people see fat people, like the skin is stretched out, so no wrinkles. And also fat people are like jolly, and you're such a naturally happy guy. It's like, oh, everything must be going great.
I try to keep it sunny, but I do have very drapey like skin under these clothes like that.
We were discussing that, Jim and I, if you were going to get the skin surgery or not.
No, I'm going to wear it. I think.
Oh, yeah?
You know, like at the end of the day, it's not like I make a living with my shirt off. So you know,
yes. Are you uncomfortable naked still? We used to talk.
Yes.
We used to commiserate about being uncomfortable naked.
Are you finally cool with it?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
No,
I don't. That won't ever change. And I mean, to be fair, like I'm doing everyone a favor not being naked because like it's one thing to have the weight that I have, but now with the weight loss, then like. It looks even worse. You know, I look like Melty Man.
But when you see
the dude that got in RoboCop when he got hit by this nuclear waste, like, oh, that dude. It's all saggy.
When you see a photo of a guy sitting with no shirt, like just leaning over, and he's like, his abs are okay, it's not perfect, but he's comfortable being shirtless. Aren't you like, what the fuck is that like to live like that and be comfortable without a shirt in front of people?
There are some things I'll never know in this life. What it feels like to dunk a basketball, what it feels like to do a pull-up, and definitely what it feels like to sit in a shirtless position in a chair and lean forward. Yes. I've never understood it. I don't even take my shirt off during sex. My wife's like, come on, I like to feel your skin. I'm like, I don't.
How about if you're on the bottom? If you're on the bottom, will you?
Every once in a blue moon, I'll just, so embarrassing. I will lift the shirt up to a belly blouse affair.
Nice.
But I won't go sheer. I won't take it all the way.
See, I like my nipples played with, so that for me was a real dilemma. Like, what do I do?
Are you a nipple guy?
Oh, I am. It's what happens when you just desensitize everything else. It's the only place I feel human.
Years ago, hearing on one of the shows when you were talking, just going full length into the things that you like.
Yeah.
It was such an eye-opener. I had so much respect, I still do, so much respect for him. I'm like, oh my God, he's just saying it.
Thank you.
He's just owning it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But the nipple one was hard when you don't like your shirt taken off. That was a dilemma I always had.
You just answered that like inside the actor's studio. Like Kevin's like, so much respect for you. And you're like, thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's my method. I become the part. And I was playing Kevin Bacon in the
So what did you do, though, Jim? When you need your nipples played with, do you like pull your shirt up like a little kid and hold it under your chin?
No, I mean that actually is not a bad technique. But if I was on my back, I would just lift it above my chest. But if you're in another, you have to take it off sometimes.
You do.
After a while, you just like.
Do you ever yank down so the nipples come out the top?
No, because I'm too worried about ruining my shirt collars. You know what I mean? I don't want to stretch out my shirt collars.
Even in the heat of passion, you're like, hey, watch the collar.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, this is a Sabbath shirt. I don't want to ruin it.
That's also when you know you love nipple play. That you love nipple play more than you hate being shirtless.
Yeah,
like, you know what? I got to make the sacrifice here.
Good point, man.
Where's Jason? Is he doing press with you today?
I just heard as I was walking in that he arrived just after me. He went to a TV show early this morning. I just flew in. I just landed like an hour or two ago. So I think he'll be coming in any moment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, Jay and Silent Bob reboot, man. Was it?
It's coming.
I was watching, and like, first of all, for people who want to get tickets, it's on Fathom Events. So if you go to fathomevents.com/reboot, it's in theaters October 15th, and it's one of those deals where it's a special event.
October 15th and October 17th. But then October 19th, that's the Fathom Events thing, where you can see it in any multiplex around the country.
Yeah.
Then October 19th, Jay and I go out on the Reboot Roadshow tour, where we take the movie right now it's 62 cities. I think we're adding like 3 more before it's done, so 65 cities. It's like a legit tour, man.
Do you like doing those tours? The first one you did, Red State was the first
Red
tour,
State,
right?
and we did it well, but we didn't we were like, we got 10 dates and then we're done. And it's like, no, we should just keep going.
And do you watch the film every time?
Yeah. And this time, I'm really looking forward to watching this one each time because I love the movie. I'm so deeply in love with it. It's meant to be like a big... When I had the heart attack and I was laying on the table and the doctor's like, you have a 80% chance of dying tonight. I was like, oh, good Lord.
Wow, they say that to me every time I perform.
But I was relatively okay with it. I'd reached a place of peace where I was like, well, if I died tonight, so be it. I've had a really good life. And then I was like, wait a second, though. If I do die tonight, the last movie I made was Yoga Hosers. Oh, fuck. So I was like, I got to live, Doc. I got to make Jay and Silent Bob reboot. So the movie became... like this, everyone hates when I say it, but I can't think of any other way to describe it. It's not, you shouldn't put it on the poster. It's not a really good marketing hook, but to me, it's a big, fat, cinematic gravestone. Like
I was going to say love letter, gravestone.
Gravestone's a good way to put it.
It's like me going like, this was my whole life. Like the movie tracks every flick I've ever done. It sequelizes Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, even Dogma, and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back talks about the podcast. My family's in it. Jay's family's in it and stuff. It's like a big scrapbook. Like I kind of went at it when I was making it like this is it, because my old man had 2 heart attacks, and the first one he made it through and the second one he didn't. I've changed my life. I went vegan, lost a bunch of weight, but at the end of the day I'm subject to the fact my parents gave me a bump.
Genetics,
Genetics, as it is. So if the second one comes back and does me in, regardless of how much I've changed my lifestyle, I wanted to make something that was like, here it is. This is my eulogy, last will and testament. So making of this movie, did you ever see Big Fish?
Yeah, of course.
Last 10 minutes of Big Fish where they're carrying Albert Finney through his life. That's what the whole making of this movie was like. Everybody I know and loved ever came back and stuff like that. And they all came down to New Orleans. I got to play with all my old toys again. It was so wonderful. 'Cause after the heart attack, I felt like an old man. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to pull out the toys. This will make me feel
Do you like being a vegan? Because I've thought of it like, because I like animals so much and
Jason
I feel
Mewes
so
is
shitty.
coming in.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Hey,
Movie star Jason Mewes.
Jason
do you
Mewes
like
is
eating
here
like a
joining
vegan or
us.
no?
I do. I joke, you know, like wherever I'm
going on,
on
Ian?
stage, I'm sure I do it. I didn't do it here because we're all pros, but like, you know, out in the world, my go-to joke is like, I'm vegan now. Used to be happy, now I'm fucking vegan. So, but it is a joke. I actually like being vegan. I don't miss anything. I'm never like, oh man, if only I could have that. There's enough options out there for us, fake meats and stuff.
Because there's that whole
Not
cruelty
true,
to
bro. I've
animals.
had burgers in my hand, and he's ripped them out of my hand.
Yeah,
and
but
started
give me
throwing
that.
it, smeared it on his face.
Give me that. I'll fuck you in the
Smell
mouth.
So did you want to? I'm glad you're here, Jason, because the movie, you know, it opened and it's in the trailer, so it's not like a spoiler. But when we first are reacquainted with Jay and Silent Bob, Jay has his dick tucked back and his pants down. Is that something where you were like, look, we need to let everybody know that Jay and Silent Bob are here, and this is what they're up to in 2019, and we need your dick tucked back, Jay. And it's necessary.
I mean, I wish it was my idea, but it was Kevin's. He loves seeing my mangina.
I don't like seeing his dick, but I like when he tucks it. It's pretty hot. I'm like, I could fuck him.
Yeah,
Would he fuck me?
He's like watched me a few times and masturbated to me touching my mangina. No, it's not true. But I do think it.
I just went so far as to say like I would fuck you, and then you tailor it back by going he jerked off once.
Because they would believe that, not
It's
you
true.
fucking me.
I believe both.
They believe
good
you
point.
jerking off in a chair
When
while
the
I'm
servant
standing
becomes
there.
the master. Holy shit, my face is all alabaster.
But you saw it and you were like, okay, yeah, this is what we're doing.
I love it. I mean, again,
Yeah.
it's been fun. The only one that I was a
If
little
I had his
hesitant on-
body, I'd fucking do it.
I don't have
you
a
tuck.
I tuck all the time. I wouldn't even do it in movies. I'd be on the street and shit. Just goodbye
Which is where
horses.
this all started. And when we first met, he used to be like, I'm going to go get a bowl. I'd go to his house and harass him because I liked hanging out with him when I was younger. He had a big wall of comic books, like hundreds and hundreds, and a bunch of movies and stuff. And then I'd go over and be in his room and he'd be like, don't touch anything. And then he'd go in the room to like grab something, come back, and I'd be sitting there with my balls and penis tucked. And I'd be like, I didn't touch anything, bro, but look.
He used to be the kind of guy you'd be driving around with. He'd be like, is it hot in here? I'm like, no, why? And you look over and his like dick is out. And he's like, ha 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 ha.
So this really was your like, this is your life to yourself. Where you're like, you know what, that mangina has played a very important role in my life.
I've seen his dick and lack of dick more than I've ever seen my dick in my own life. So it had to go in the movie.
It has to be there. There was so many, like, because like, you know, the whole universe that you guys created with these characters, like that was like pretty much anybody in my generation, our whole high school experience, you know what I mean? So we're like in love with the whole thing. So when I turned it on and it's just like every character ever, and then the references, like you got so detailed. There's a scene where you're eating chocolate and it just, even in the way you're licking your fingers.
Yes.
I go, Mallrats. Like
You saw it.
I
You
saw
pulled
it
that.
immediately. I
And
was like,
literally, that was my direction to him in the car. Remember in the car, I was just like, hit each finger like Rooker did in Mallrats.
yeah, like I rewound it just to be like, wait. Was that just in my head?
It is more full of Easter eggs than the last 10 Easters. Like, it's just packed with in-jokes and stuff.
Are there any that no one has gotten yet?
I'm
That, like,
sure.
or no one has commented to you
I
on?
haven't started seeing it with the audiences yet. Like October 19th when we start the tour, that'll be the first time. We didn't even test screen it or anything like that. I hope to God it's good. Everyone who's seen it seems to like it, but we haven't done this thing where it's like, let's just show it to fans. We're about to start that. So I look forward to see if they get everything, and they absolutely will. I mean, if you grab that.
I grabbed it.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Was there anybody that was tough to get back into doing this thing? Because I feel like if you don't have everybody, you don't have anybody, right?
Yeah, there's, honestly, like the heart attack really helped in that degree. In as much as like you'd call people and be like, hey man, can you come? Thank you. Can you come down to New Orleans for like 2 hours to be in our movie? They're like, New Orleans, that's pretty fucking far. And he'd be like, you do remember I almost fucking died last year. And they're like, all right, I'm fucking coming. I'm coming. So a lot of folks came back. Like, it was crazy. But then there were folks that I didn't even think were coming back who did eventually come back. Like when I wrote the script and we went into production, there was no Holden. Ben wasn't going to be in the movie. And it was seeing him on a junket. Somebody sent me a tweet of Kevin McCarthy, who does like press junkets all the time. He's out of Washington. He's like their movie reviewer on the news there. He anytime he interviews somebody who's been in one of our flicks, he usually kind of starts with like a View Askew reference. So if he's interviewing Matt, he's just like, hey man, when are you going to start Good Will Hunting 2, hunting season? And Matt, you can see it on his face. He's like, Good Will Hunting 2. And then he's like, oh, Jane Silent Bob Strike Back. Yeah. Oh, you know Kevin, blah, blah, blah. And so it makes, I guess, for a better interview. So with Ben, he was interviewing for this Netflix show called Triple Frontier. And right off the bat, he was like, hey, man, they're shooting that reboot. Did they call you yet? And Ben was like, no. And I'm around. I'm not busy, but nobody's called. And so right away, he was like, you have to fucking call him, dude. That's a sign. I was like, that's not a sign. That's just some nice shit to say to junket. Like, what is he supposed to say? Fuck those guys. Anyway, watch Triple Frontier. You know, it's like.
But you hadn't talked to him in a while, right?
In a while, like almost 10 years.
Did you get him?
Did I get who?
Ben.
Did we get him in the movie?
Yeah.
We absolutely did.
You did?
Yeah.
We did. We did.
So you did call him.
Something tells me you didn't see the movie.
I did not. I never do.
I watch it for both of us.
Yeah,
You're that, you're like 5 minutes in, you're like, fuck this. I need nipple work.
I could do both. I could watch and enjoy. What, did you think that he wasn't going to do it? Or?
Yeah, I didn't even write him into the script because I hadn't spoken to him in so fucking long. So I didn't even write Holden in or anything like that. And then for a week, Jason and his wife Jordan, she's a producer on the movie, they kept saying, like, you should reach out to him. You should reach out to him. And finally I was like, all right, you know what? I'll tweet him. And I wrote this long tweet. And then Jordan was like, don't fucking tweet him. That's so gross. Like, just text him. I was like, I got 4 numbers. I don't know if any of them work. And she's like, pick one. I picked one.
You know, it's great if it's the wrong number and it went to somebody else. Somebody got the Kevin Smith, Ben Affleck text.
Yeah.
You know, that's awesome.
When I was texting with this person, I didn't know it was him. It's not like he sent me a photo and stuff. He started responding. I was like, is this still you? And he's like, yeah, this me. Who's this? And I was like, who are you? And he said, BA. And then he said, this is your father. And then I knew it was Affleck. So that's kind of shit he says. Like, this is your father. And so he goes, who's this? And I was like, you know, this conversation ends right now, probably. And I wrote KS. And he was like, Kevin? I said, yeah. He's like, how you doing, man? I said, great. I was about to tweet you this. So I'll just text it here. And I texted it like, I was like, we're all having a blast here in the past and wish you were here. But ever since our heart attack, I don't wish no more. I just asked, so will you please come down and play with us? Like, it'd be so amazing to see you again. I quoted the good King Osric from Conan the Barbarian. I was like, there comes a time when the jewels cease to sparkle, the gold loses luster, the throne room becomes a prison. All an old director wants to do is make pretend with his buddies. And he wrote back instantly. He goes, it's so telling that you still think of yourself as a king. And then he said, I'd love to come play. And he came down and joined us, man. It was nuts. So I got to write. That scene didn't even exist when we started making the movie. And then, you know, suddenly I got to put it in. I got to include him. I got to make a 8-minute Chasing Amy sequel in the middle of the movie. It was just wonderful.
Yeah. Now
it's fun watching a director do like what Tarantino did with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like where you know he's just kind of going down these weird little corridors that he wants to go down. That's kind of fun to watch somebody do. When you know the little things that they want to, like he wants to make a fucking Western in the middle of his movie. He wants to do this.
So you watched that movie, but you didn't watch our movie.
I was just hoping that I would get to talk to Quentin. No, they sent us a link, but I didn't know it when they sent it. I didn't realize that we had been sent a link.
In that movie, at one point, we watched someone go watch a movie, like Sharon Tate. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. She used to watch her own
walking
film
down like weird avenues.
Yeah.
The
and
real
he's like,
Sharon.
No, we're gonna leave it all in. We're gonna. Yeah.
I know, just like let it roll. But I'm happy with my kid was in that movie, so I was like, as long as you want.
Who was your kid in the movie?
She played one of the Manson kids. She was Froggy.
Oh, how old?
She's 20.
Oh, wow. Okay. Which one was? I don't remember. I didn't get all the names. Was she just one of the ones in the group?
One of the kids in the group. Yeah. I think she had like 1 or 2 lines, but she's in it a lot.
There's a whole bunch of. There's like Hollywood kids in it. Uma Thurman's kid is one of the Manson members, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I think there was a theme he had going on.
Squeaky From's niece?
No.
I made that up.
So your daughter's obviously in this one too.
Yeah, she right after Quentin's movie, we went and made this, and she got to us.
Isn't that great?
It was
Isn't that great
awesome.
to hear from a daughter? Dad, I'm gonna need to delay shooting on your whatever you got going on. I have a Tarantino
I got something
movie
more
I'm
important
doing.
going on. When she told me she wanted to be in it, she was like, "I want to try out for this movie." She's like, "I've been reading books about the subject, and I watched a documentary." I said, "What's the movie?" She said, "Once Upon a Time in Hollywood." I was like, "Oh my God, kiddo, lower your expectations." I was like, "What are you fucking kidding me? I want to be in that movie. Everyone wants to be in that movie, man. That's a tough one to get into and stuff." And I always tell you to go for your dreams, but I don't know, this one. So she auditioned for it and stuff, and eventually got the part. And I was just like, "Well, fuck me. What do I know?"
Did being your daughter help her?
I don't know. I haven't spoken to him. The way I heard the story was she auditioned. They don't give you lines to audition with. He says, make up a monologue for your character. So she went in, made up a monologue for her character, and he responded to that. At first he was like, she's too young. We don't really have anything for her. And then 2 weeks later, he was like, you know what? I like it a lot. So what I heard when she told me that, I was like, hey man, that's great. Congrats. Cause she wants to be an actress. She's been acting for a while. And I'm like, thing about acting is you put your fucking fate in somebody else's hands. You're waiting to get chosen by somebody else. Fuck that. Fuck waiting to get chosen. Choose yourself. You're my kid. I didn't wait to get chosen. Otherwise I'd be sitting in Quick Stop still. I just went and made a fucking movie. Ben and Matt didn't wait to get chosen. You could fucking write for yourself. So she never really listened. And then after this thing with Quentin, I was like, all I hear in that story is one of the greatest writers in this business responded to a monologue that you wrote.
Did she make it up on the spot or beforehand? Do you know a week before you go in, I got to make this up? Make up a monologue.
You're a Manson kid, there's a shit you're going to talk about.
But she wrote it, and Tarantino's going yeah, that's good.
That's what I heard. You know what I'm saying? When she told me that story, I'm like, look, I'm glad you got a part in a movie, but that guy responded to your content.
Right.
Lean into that. Write a whole fucking movie. Fuck waiting for somebody to cast you and stuff.
And I mean, you're right,
including
Jim,
your father.
About Tarantino being able to go down those roads. The same thing you're doing with Jay and Silent Bob. The same thing Scorsese was able to just do with the Netflix movie Irishman.
But that's a different thing. They've been trying to do that for years, right?
Yeah.
And now Netflix is like, here's all the money in the world.
$160 million.
Good God.
But just
you know what? I ain't complaining, are you?
No.
I want to see every one of them dollars on that screen.
All of them.
Yeah.
They're so good. But just the idea of several different avenues for creators just getting to create. It's probably the closest thing to going back to making Clerks when it was nobody was paying attention and I could just go make this movie, right?
Nah, the closest thing to making Clerks was Tusk. Nobody was paying attention to that. Nobody thought that. That was the one where on Clerks, nobody was paying attention, and I didn't once think what will happen to this.
Mm-hmm.
Every other movie you're always thinking about after that critics and box office and all that shit. Tusk, I didn't have any of those thoughts. All I thought was I just want to see this movie, which was the same spirit through which I made Clerks. I just want to see it. I don't give a fuck about what happens or anything like that. So this one was more about Reboot was more about the greatest high school reunion that we never had with all of our friends. And instead of being oh, it sucked, everybody got laid. And we were like, let's do it again next year. It was just phenomenal.
It's awesome.
Jason, how are you doing?
In what way?
In life, you look good. You look healthy.
Thank you. I'm good. I'm doing it. I've had a lot of fun on the movie, and now we're getting ready for the Reboot Roadshow. I'm home mainly hanging out with the kid. My kid's 4.5 now, man, and it's literally I'm either streaming. I've been streaming, doing Twitch. Jay Muse, check it out. But I've been streaming, which has been a lot of fun. I've been doing different stuff, but mainly it's hanging with the kid.
He's been building Legos on Twitch, and people are like, "That's my new."
Wow, they watch you do it and pay you, right? Or they tip you to do it, or something?
I mean,
tip you take off your shirt, work your nipples.
Put that Lego in your mouth.
Brick in the bricks.
Hang on, honey. I got to make these gold coins. What do you want me to do with this?
Wow, building Lego. That's a good idea.
It is. It's been fun. People will sit and watch me build Legos.
They find it very zen. They're like, look at him. Because he's sitting there quietly, he's not even narrating it. He's just building his Legos. And people are meditating to it.
Yeah.
So that's been a lot of fun. But while I'm home, I've been doing that and hanging out with my kid and getting ready to go on this, the tour, which is going to be 2 months solid or so. We're going to be gone.
Well,
and
2 months before Christmas, and then it goes again.
Yeah. So
you weren't a big weed guy when Jay and Silent Bob first started, right?
No. Even when we made Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Like if you watch that whole movie, there's like one real weed joke in it where like they get high with the Scooby Gang, and it looks like it's done by somebody who's never really spent much time smoking weed. Like more like it looks like other movies you've seen, and this is the first movie, View Askew movie set in the with our characters Jay and Silent Bob and whatnot that I ever made as a stoner. So the movie is much more weed friendly and accurate. There's actually a weed plot line that runs through it.
Are you smoking a lot still?
Oh, like crazy.
Isn't it hard not to eat bad when you're all fucking high all the time?
Not at all. I beat that one a long time ago, man. It just I don't combine those two at all. In fact, one substitutes for the other. Most days I'm like, do I want to eat or do I want to smoke my lunch? Fuck it, I want to smoke my lunch instead.
Yeah.
So in the movie, the boys have 3 strains of weed: Snoogans, Snoochie Boochies, and Berserker. That play a part of the plot. And then we brought them into the real world on Friday. We just introduced our weed, to the weed legal states, and California being one of them and stuff. So we had this big, premiere party at this dispensary called Herbarium with 1,000 people showed up. It was dope.
It was awesome.
So we brought our weed into I'll show it to you, but I'm going to keep my weed. Snoochie Boochies.
Look at that.
That's the sativa. It's got us on it and stuff. And then we've got Snoogans as an indica and Berserker as the hybrid. So
do you feel like this will be your legacy at the end of the day? It's
people will forget this fucking movie and they'll still be smoking this weed.
Right.
Because Caviar Gold powers the weed. They're the guys that they make such amazing fucking weed. So they're kind of the source behind it. So yeah, I think people forget about this flick and the weed will be its legacy.
I just love that all of your movies by certain people have been called stoner comedies.
Right.
And this isn't, you've never been
done it.
Yeah.
Not a stoner at all.
Technically, the first stoner comedy I ever made was Tusk, and that's not even a comedy.
No.
But it is a stoner affair. That movie don't exist unless I'm like, let's make a movie about a guy who turns another guy into a walrus. That'd be fucked up.
How many years between films was this?
Between
this new one and the one you did before that you said you didn't want to be your last one.
Yoga Hosers.
Yoga Hosers. That was came out in 2016, and now we're 2019.
Oh, 3 years.
So about 3 years.
You did not like Yoga Hosers, or
I
people
love
didn't
Yoga
love it?
Hosers, but people shit in its mouth constantly. I hate that movie. They come at it so hardcore. That's why I was like, I feel like we went down so far with that movie. There's nowhere to go but up with this movie. And this movie is incredibly self-indulgent. I'm literally in every frame of the movie. When I'm not Silent Bob, I'm playing fucking Kevin Smith in the movie. I think the only time I get away with this movie is post-heart attack. People who want to be like, fuck him, are going to be like, well, he did almost die. Let him have this fucking movie.
Did you really mention the heart attack when you texted Ben Affleck? Hey, ever since the heart attack, I'm going to try.
Dude, I mentioned the heart attack in the movie.
Good for you.
It's in part of the plot. I mentioned the heart attack. I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, heart attack's the biggest thing that ever happened to me since Clerks. I've been talking about Clerks for 25 fucking years, and now I can be like, oh, and I had a heart attack too.
Yeah.
2 things happened
Is
to
that
me.
how you got Matt Damon to come back as well?
He was coming back regardless.
I see.
He's always been fairly cool with us. But we didn't know how we were going to use him. At first, I was just going to use him as Matt Damon.
Right.
Then my wife was like, how come you never think to use him as Loki from Dogma? I was like, because Loki died. And she's like, in a movie. And I was like, oh, fuck, you're right.
Yeah.
I
Wait a
put
minute.
him into the movie as Loki. It was fun.
I made up this whole universe.
I can do
forgot.
anything. I'm God here.
That's what I need. I don't have a heart attack to get into. I need something I can tell my Kevin Hart about. Just things that he could get me
Get
into
that sympathy
Yeah.
up. You need
Erection difficulties is not cutting it. I've tried that for years.
I remember at one point in my life, somebody said, I forget who it was, but they were like, you could always have a second act in this business. And I was like, I think I'm on my 9th. What do you mean second act? They're like, just the way to change the conversation. You could lose weight one day. And I was like, oh, I'd never do that. And then post-heart attack, I went vegan, then lost the weight. And it did create a whole different conversation. I literally just interviewed with Muscle and Fitness.
Of course you did.
Which is nuts. I have no muscles and I know nothing about fitness.
Editor's job?
Pretty much. I'm like, can I do the comic strips here?
So what do you, when you're vegans have good desserts, even though it's
sugar's
all
vegan.
sugar, yeah.
I mean, good desserts
they're
compared
tasty.
to their food, or good desserts compared to actual desserts?
They're actually really good fucking
They're pretty
desserts.
tasty
They're
desserts.
really good, man. They're way better. What do they use? Nut butter, ice cream or whatever, almond ice cream.
Yeah,
It's
to be
better than you
honest,
think.
when you made that scrunchy face and said nut butter, I got a little bit hard.
Yeah, because you
nut butter.
Yeah.
Yeah, they use a lot of. Sometimes they don't even use any milks or anything, man. They just kind of go pure chocolate. They use pure chocolate. Desserts kind of work out. I don't know how, because they don't use milk.
Do you miss meat?
Never.
You don't? Okay.
No. Honestly, I don't miss anything. There's no. I used to drink 2 gallons of milk a day. Probably why I had the heart attack. And I
you
don't
really
miss
drink that much milk?
I did.
As an adult?
Were you the professional?
That's incredible.
As a child, I drank 2 gallons of milk a day.
Why were you drinking so much milk? You just really like milk?
I did, and somebody made
that's so much milk.
Somebody made the mistake. Well, I did almost die. I was punished.
I know,
for
but that
it.
fucking. How do you
I didn't
sleep?
fuck you up with your nipple work and shit.
No,
like that.
I
I'm
just
on your
don't.
side.
I don't
Jim,
even
to be
knock
fair,
it.
your habits also should have killed you by
I'm
now.
garbage, but I'm just saying that milk is so mucusy. I could never sleep if I drank it like that. I'd be like,
I gotta tell you, I felt a little judged right there.
No, never judged.
I'm not even the milk drinker anymore, but you're gonna make me pick up milk again.
I'm judging the
because I'm
milk.
like, fuck him.
I judge the milk.
Dairy recovery.
It is. It's like it's cow puss. You shouldn't be drinking it. I remember my kid. She was vegan before I was, and she was the one that flipped me, man. After the heart attack, the nutritionist in the hospital was like, you had a lot of cholesterol, man. 100% blockage. You might think about, going plant-based. My kid was like, yes, please, Dad. One of us, vegan and stuff. And I knew part of it was because she was like, oh, I want to help save his life. But the other part of it was like totally agenda-oriented. She's like, if I could flip this motherfucker, he's a big get for the vegan community and stuff.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so she worked it, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'll try your way for 6 months. My way, for 47 years almost killed me, so let me try your way.
What was the first vegan thing you ate that you're like, fuck, I could live this way? Like, what was the first vegan thing that you're like, all right, this life might work?
Beyond Burger. I had a Beyond Burger, and I'm not even a hamburger guy. Like back in the day, I wasn't even like, give me all the hamburgers and
Beyond
shit. I'm not
Burger.
like a wimpy or something like that from fucking Popeye. But I had a Beyond Burger, and I was like, are you shitting me? This is plant-based? Holy fuck.
People are excited about those Whoppers at Burger King, the Impossible
They got
Burgers or
Impossible
whatever.
Whopper. McDonald's is trying out in Canada PLT, which is made with Beyond Meat.
And KFC just had Impossible Chicken. Like
They've added it?
They sampled it in like Atlanta. They were like, we're going to do this for a month. It's sold out before the first week was done.
Is it cooked separately too, or
They gotta.
They do,
yeah,
right?
they do it in
Except
different
in
oil, yeah.
McDonald's, they're saying up in Canada, they're not cooking on a separate grill. The weird thing too is like a lot of places that offer the Impossible Burger or Beyond Burger, like that are mainstream chains, are then like, do you want cheese on it? And you're like, vegan cheese? And they're like, no, real cheese. I'm like, what's the fucking point?
Wasn't one a vegetarian, one a vegan though? Like
It's true. Some cats are okay with the cheese and stuff.
But if you're going to go vegan,
go all the way.
Vegan you can't fuck with, but vegetarian I could maybe live without meat, but have some cheese. A little cheese I would want. I don't like vegan cheese.
So when you're drinking 2 gallons a day, are you drinking straight out of the jug, or are you just pouring glass after glass?
Glass after glass.
Chocolate milk or regular?
Regular.
Okay.
That's incredible.
I just don't like
I always
it that
felt
much.
chocolate milk would be unhealthy.
You're
So do you buy, like, how much milk at a time do you buy? Because it doesn't last. So
I was like pretty much a 2 gallon a day guy. So I would,
But you would buy every day?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was like a part of the, like, I remember one time my wife came home and she didn't have milk, and I'm like, it's the only thing I drink. And she's like, I know, I'm so sorry.
So you just have to buy, I need every morning, we just need to go out and buy my milk, and
I
then
would
we can
just
start
go
the
do-
day.
I'm rather-
It was on
rather
the rider for
self-sufficient.
our tour when we toured Get Old and stuff.
Really?
It was like Muse, Red Bull, Smith, milk.
What kind of milk? 2% whole?
Whole milk.
And you enjoyed the
milk, that's
taste of it.
awesome.
I did.
Wow.
Here's the thing. I was on. One of the podcasts I do is Edumacation with Andy McElfish, and Andy, smartest guy I know, and he was just like, he said this like, not even a specious fact, true fact, where he's like, milk is rather filling because it coats the stomach. So even after you're done drinking it, it still gives you a sense of satiety. And so, I was, and he said, so it could be a meal replacement. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna start drinking milk instead of eating. And then I did that for a while, but then I started drinking milk with eating, which defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
And then I was just kind of double fisting it, food and milk. And that was my go-to drink. And then, heart attack.
That's what happens, I guess.
Do you like ice
100%
cream?
blockage.
See, if you like milk, you must love ice cream.
I did back in the day.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
How about vegan ice cream? Is it
Pretty good.
Oh,
Like,
you just talked about
honestly,
that. Okay.
They
we
make coconut milk stuff is pretty damn good.
I tried to get into coconut milk and coconut water. I fucking can't stand coconuts. I'm tired of them.
I don't
I've
like the
tried
way
to.
coconut water tastes, but it's amazing
Tastes like
what it'll
armpits.
do for you.
Yeah, it's pretty good
Like
for your body.
like
Is
the
it good for you?
electrolytes and headaches, hangovers, all that stuff just goes away magically with coconut water.
You sound like one of those dudes in that Warner Brothers cartoon and shit where they're stuck on the island eating coconuts and Bugs Bunny shows up and shit. And then they start looking at each other like they're steak. Like, I fucking hate coconuts.
Oh, I didn't realize it had all those health benefits.
Oh my god, yeah, it's
It
crazy.
does good shit for you, apparently.
Maybe I'll try it.
Yeah.
I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of like
Why
almond
is-
milk. I've tried it in coffee. It's
You know what the new
hideous.
thing is? Oat milk.
Oh fuck oat milk.
I've had
Oat
that.
milk
They
is
make
big.
an oat milk ice cream, which I've had, which is pretty good.
Yeah, my kid drinks oat milk and coconut water and eats hummus. And
Did you never? My God, that's what my kid did. Did
Yeah.
you guys never introduce your kid to like milk?
I don't
We never did. My wife was like, "This kid's never going to drink milk."
He went
I was like, "How will she eat cereal?"
He went from the titty to oat milk.
Yeah.
Cereal oat milk? What
do you mean cereal?
Like oat milk in cereal.
You could do that.
Oh yeah, sure. If he eats cereal, he'll put oat milk in there.
It doesn't, right? Oat milk blows.
Oat milk is really it's more watery.
Almond milk or anything, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, but when you don't know any better.
That's true, and it's all you know. I'll eat cereal barehanded though. I just eat it with my hands. I don't even like putting fluid in there. Just wanted to say something boring.
Unlike your mouth. You don't like putting fluid in there.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. Well, look, everybody. Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Everybody's got to go see this thing. It's in theaters October 15th. I also think this is what I was thinking. It's
Bring
not
your oat milk.
It's not just it's not, and you can get tickets at fathomevents.com/reboot. It's not just the heart attack. I don't think. I think you've hit a sweet spot with Jay and Silent Bob where there was a time where I think like after Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, weren't you like we're retired? Characters are being retired. The View Askew-universe is over.
He'd asked me for a decade, man, while we've been out there doing the Jay and Silent Bob Get Old podcast. He's like, man, why don't we do another one of these? Everyone likes these guys. And I'm like, I'm shocked we got away with it once. Like, let's never do it again.
I think that it's not just the heart attack. You're in that sweet spot that all like bands go through where they were super popular and then people are just moved on to something else. And then it comes back around where it's like, oh no, it's cool now.
We're oddly retro because we've lasted long enough. Yeah, it's true. And you've actually described like my entire career arc. Like in the beginning, they were like, "Hey, he fucking rocks," and then at a certain point, they were like, "Hey, he fucking sucks." And then at a certain point, they were like, "Oh, he's all right again." And then the heart attack, they're like, "Oh, thank God he lived."
He's the man now.
I honestly expected like, the internet's. People would be like, I wish he had finally fucking died. Silent Bob forever, piece of shit. But largely very positive. People
Yeah.
like, oh my God, thank God he's still here. That felt fantastic.
Does that middle part suck?
Which one?
The dip?
When
Where it's like, you're
everyone's
the
going,
man,
"You
you're
suck."
not
You
the
just
man,
stay
you're
busy. Like, let's see, where was my middle part? Like, because that's up to...
That's your favorite part.
Wait, while you're thinking of that, why don't you put you on the spot? What band would you compare us to? Because you said a lot of rock bands go, they're popular, then they suck, disappear, and then that.
Ooh, I got one. Can I compare us?
Yes, please.
I always thought that we were like Anthrax. Not the disease, the band Anthrax.
Sure.
Have a hardcore following.
Yeah.
They write only songs about what they want to write about and stuff. They've never bothered to try to even go mainstream and stuff. And they've definitely flirted with it and had success and whatnot. But then they just do their own thing. That's what I think.
Not Aerosmith? I guess because they came back with ballads.
Yeah.
And also they were incredibly successful both times. We were like low end of this shit. You know what I mean?
Anthrax is a good comparison. Yeah,
I think
Anthrax.
so,
They're very.
you know?
Anthrax is one of the big four in metal.
Ozzy's a good example. Ozzy was super hot.
Ozzy's a terrible example. He's an icon.
I mean, in the
It's a
early
terrible example. He never had a dip.
He never had a
The
dip.
man had no dip.
in most of the 90s, he
Shot
was
in the Dark
dipping.
was a big hit.
Bro,
No
you
More
could be a
Tears.
fan,
was a
but
big
you've
hit.
got to acknowledge the Ozzy dip.
No, 2002, the Osbournes was a big hit. There's never been an Ozzy
that's
dip.
the
TV show is the dip.
That's Get Old.
Yeah.
Osbournes is our Get Old, right?
Yeah. The 90s is not a great time
It's
for
a great
Ozzy.
time for Ozzy. He was touring. Ozfest was a giant hit. He was breaking bands. Marilyn Manson, Disturbed. Ozzy never had a dip. Not even a moment.
Stupid example.
Yeah,
on my
exactly.
part.
Has he come in here?
Many times, yeah.
Many times.
Yeah.
And?
We always have fun with Ozzy. I love him.
I know.
My favorite
clearly,
person.
clearly.